Perret big board, and we will get him up and ready to go around 8 a.m. this morning. But until then, it's just me, myself. Jen has taken off for some family time, and she will be back on Tuesday. Preston is out one more day, and he'll be back in studio with me tomorrow morning when we get back. So hang in there. You get just a Bill Gunner show for about the next 2 hours before Patrick Perret stops by for an hour in the 8 to 9 o'clock hour. He's even if you go to underscore Patrick Perret, last night he even put out his mock draft. I was trying to think of a clever way to say his Mel Kiper final mock draft, but he put that out last night. So we'll get to all that this morning. Plenty to get to. If you want to be a part of the program, 803-404-6100. That's how you can weigh in and join us this morning. Any hot take you want to get to, plenty from yesterday. Kind of some and Sanders, a reversal on their decision to allow uh, practice tape from 2022 to go along with transfers so they can showcase who they are. But Deion Sanders actually picking up a few big transfers yesterday in the transfer portal. One of them, Derek McClendon, a defensive end from Florida State, who took an official visit to South Carolina back at the beginning of April, and adding another linebacker from Florida State as well yesterday. So Deion Sanders doing some things in the transfer portal. We'll get into that a little bit this morning. Also, didn't get a chance to revisit it quite as I wanted to yesterday because we were a little busy. But this discussion by the SEC as to whether or not or how exactly to punish schools for storming the field or for storming the court. I think we'll get into it a little bit because I've got kind of some takes on that and want to hear your opinion this as well this morning as we kind of roll through that and wait to see. They'll have really within the next month. I would expect by the end of May when they do their down in Death, Florida, at the end of May. I think you will have an answer for what the SEC wants to try and impose on schools whose fans run onto the field or court. And I'd really end up thinking it's going to be a financial fine. They'll just raise it significantly. But there are some interesting ideas out there. And also, I'll go back to a question I kind of asked on Tuesday when we were all together, Preston and Jen. Is court storming and is field storming just part of the fabric of college sports? I kind of think it is. And it's kind of that old school, maybe uh, nostalgic thought process, or maybe the changing. I don't know. I don't know how I would label it, but it kind of goes back to what I said yesterday about the retirement of jerseys, where I'm not sure retiring your jerseys, Kip Bulk Night, will be having done tomorrow night. I'm not sure that's the same as it used to be, and especially for a player of Kip's stature, Golden Spikes Award winner, the consensus college baseball player of the year. I do kind of agree with several of you who weighed in yesterday that even for Kip or for having your jersey retired is nice. Having it on the wall out and out in the outfield is nice. But yeah, I think Kip Balknight deserves a statue out there in center field to kind of commemorate what he did, so that he can walk in with his kids or one day walk in with his grandkids and say, "Yeah, I did that," as opposed to just sitting in the stands and pointing out to left field where the number 14 will be displayed proudly on the wall. You can do both. There's no rule that says you can't do both. So we'll get into a little bit of that this morning. Last night in the NBA, you had an upset, I guess, an upset of sorts as the Miami Heat knock off the Milwaukee Bucks 128-126. It's an upset because the Miami Heat wrap up that series, an 8 seed now, knocking off a 1 seed. So you get yourself the Miami Heat moving on. Jimmy Butler, who is on the what we want to call it, the most disliked list on Miss Thorne's, Preston's mother's uh, refrigerator that she keeps. She just keeps a list of people up there. Baker Mayfield up on that list, Jimmy Butler up on that list, and Trey Young working his way to being written on her refrigerator in the most despised athletes out there. So a little bit of an upset last night there as the Miami Heat, who've been good through the years, but kind of sinking a little bit here as they age a little bit. Jimmy Butler's not getting any younger. Neither is Bam Adebayo. Tyler Hero's now out for pretty much the rest of the season with a broken hand. But the Milwaukee Bucks with Giannis Antetokounmpo go down to the Miami Heat last night, 128-126, and they will not advance. It'll be the Miami Heat instead. A few other NBA games last night. The Memphis Grizzlies, which, again, as Preston and I kind of talked about, it's an interesting case study in what we like to see, because I think most of you are pulling now against Dylan Brooks for the Memphis Grizzlies, but you have a hard time pulling for LeBron James. Night, Memphis knocking off LA 116-99 to cut that series to LA, still leading 3-2. Also, the New York Knicks. I don't know if anybody cares about the NBA that's listening at this moment, but I do think it's more enjoyable when the New York Knicks are like in the playoffs and New York is fully invested and Madison Square Garden is rocking and rolling. But the Knicks last night, they close out the series over the Cleveland Cavaliers 106-95. They win that series in advance. And then the one other game last night, Golden State winning 123-116 over Sacramento. Golden State now takes a 3-2 lead in that series. So a little bit of NBA last night to kind of get you through. Again, we'll get into some transfer stuff. South Carolina having some transfer portal additions. One in particular, quarterback. We'd kind of been waiting on that, so we'll talk about that decision. This defensive lineman as well, and then also start to look ahead a little bit to tomorrow's Auburn South Carolina series over at Founders Park. The Gamecocks have had the week off as they deal with exams. It comes at a perfect time for South Carolina, to be honest. Being able to rest, to heal up, not having that midweek game, you're able to rest some arms. So the Gamecocks go into the final 4 series of the year: Auburn, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Tennessee. They'll head into the final 4 series still banged up. I mean, the injuries are still a bit of an issue, but you've had now several days to rest, to again rest some arms, to kind of get away from baseball before you make that final push for both the SEC tournament and the college baseball tournament there coming up. That South Carolina right now in a great position to host a super regional. I would assume that as long as they can kind of just hold serve, given that Kentucky and Arkansas are top 15 programs, that Tennessee seems to be bouncing back. Don't do anything to fall on your face this coming weekend against the breather of an opponent in Auburn. But South Carolina seems to be in good position. So we'll get you a little bit ready for that as well. Again, if you want to weigh in this morning, 803-404-6100 is how you can weigh. Brad says, where else in the SEC is there a statue of a baseball player? I don't know. I would assume that several. I don't know if I'm not going to sit here and lie to Brad or anybody. I have no clue. I would have, you would got to assume that maybe there's something of Will Clark and Rafael Palmeiro at Mississippi State. LSU's got a bunch of players that they could highlight with a statue. Florida's had a couple really good players that they could highlight. Vanderbilt's, I don't know if Vanderbilt's built any statues. They're more worried about building stuff for their library or their chemistry department or something else. So they probably, the athletic side of things doesn't get statues. Maybe if you were a fantastic librarian there at Vanderbilt, you get a statue outside of the library. So maybe not Vanderbilt, but I would assume that there's some statues built of some baseball players throughout the SEC. But I'm not going to try and lie and say that for certain, because I have no clue. Never been to a baseball game outside of Sarge Field and Founders Park. So, but I'm sure there are. And again, it goes to the bigger picture of how you recognize and honor, not just in baseball, but in football and in basketball, how you recognize and honor your all-time greats. And Kip Balknight, certainly an all-time great, not just in baseball, but it's in South Carolina athletics, and a big honor for him tomorrow night. But I do ask, like, should he get a statue outside? Kind of a ring of honor. And after thinking more about it yesterday, I can tend to agree with a lot of you who say the statue honoring, I guess, is reserved for the elite national players of the year, Heisman Trophy winners, things of that nature. And South Carolina's kind of fit that mold with what they've done for Asia Wilson, for George Rogers. It's an interesting conversation what they'll do maybe for Aaliyah Boston in the years to come. 803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in this morning on any of those topics. Again, we'll get back into the transfer portal situation. South Carolina having a quarterback enter the transfer portal. If you didn't pay attention at all yesterday to 1075 The Game or Twitter or any of the message boards, I'll tell you who that was. And we'll discuss that a little bit when we come back. It's Bill Gunner. It's Captain Dave Adair. I get Captain Dave up and early. Thankfully, I'm not in studio. They said it's so early. I've already gotten reports from the studio. They said it's so early back there. Captain Dave forgot to wear pants. Just got up, got dressed at 5 a.m., but forgot his pants. So he's just in studio by himself, all lonely. I know this. I've been there. I've seen that nobody else comes in before about 7 o'clock. Usually it's just Jen, Preston, and I. So Captain Dave is all lonely back in the studio by himself, hopefully on Amazon, ordering some pants to be delivered so he will not scare away the other people showing up here later on this morning. But it's myself, it's Captain Dave, and currently it's a bunch of birds because there's nobody out here at Fort Jackson this morning. I mean, there's one guy over there and they're getting the carts out, but it is quiet and it is a little creepy. The fog is rolling in, and at any moment I could just disappear. Just anything is something out of one of the M. Night Shyamalan movies where just something could roll along and then we've just got dead air for 3 hours, or Captain Dave will fill in with Stump today. You get the point. We're getting you up, we're getting you ready. It's a Thursday morning. It's NFL draft today. Get fired up for that. You're listening to Bill Gunner and Captain David Dare. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game. Let's see what you just sent. Old timey. I can. No, I'll do it in the next before the next one. 6:26. So we're good here. Dave, the only one. Let's see. Preston is 640, the absolute glass. So unless you have his whatchamacallit, the one that he cut for Jen that she just kind of plays, we can skip that one. So this hour it'll only be old timey meat market. I can tell him to do. Are you in tomorrow or is Ed Bird in? All right, I'll remember. I'll make note of it. Is Gamecock Larry back on the phone line? He is? Okay. All right, I'll get to Gamecock Larry when we come back. Yeah, we'll let it lighten up just a little bit. So I'm not. Still looks pretty dark over there.
Yeah, it's still dark. Well, at least you wore pants and not shorts.
Do what?
So at least you wore pants.
Oh, I was ready.
Not shorts.
I was like,
I woke up this morning. I was like, I really hope. I was like, I hope you guys aren't freaked out here this morning. Like, you guys wear pants.
I was. Yeah, Preston's out. He's having to travel, but I was like, I'm not. And this week I'm not as upset about not playing because I'm leaving to go to the beach tomorrow at like 9 a.m. after the show. So
Okay.
I've got stuff. I think Jeff said he's meeting with one of these prospective clients at that. Where are they at today? Crowded, Sap, no, Columbia Craft.
Yeah, Columbia Craft.
So I told him I'd come down about 2:15 and meet with him.
And then we're at Chubby's tomorrow. I'm not sure if you had their burgers, but their burgers are
really
amazing. Terry and Jay ate the whole entire time. Yeah. Mostly Terry. But their burgers are really solid. It's really good.
Yeah,
we're out there again next Friday.
Oh, are you? Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure you got nothing wrong. Well, I don't know what's going on. I'm out. I'm gonna take next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off.
Oh, okay.
So, because I don't understand why we had to be at this position.
It's a beat. I don't know why. I wasn't even expecting for y'all to be out here this morning. I was expecting to be, but that was at 9 o'clock, and then.
Yeah, I kind of told you this, but Jen's out, Preston's out. Mm-hmm. I was kind of like, yeah, it's easier.
Yeah.
Let me do it. Oh, hey, yes. So y'all, I'm sorry. Yeah, I got to remember the live streams on. I've got it working this week, and obviously got it working from yesterday. Because Dave's in studio, you're gonna have to turn on your radio to hear Patrick at 8 a.m. So while I love y'all being with me, I don't have Dave doesn't know how to go in and turn the computer on at the studio so that you would hear the typical audio. Of course, now the thing goes out. I can't believe that the internet here is like only 2 bars. That
Yeah,
makes
yeah,
me wonder if it's like all the way across over there.
yeah. I have. It's actually better inside, obviously, but I don't have a speaker.
Yeah, it's kind of odd. But yeah. So at 8 a.m. to hear Patrick, you're gonna have to get on the radio, which I apologize for. But yeah, Jen's not a studio, and Dave doesn't know how to do the little go in there and set it up like Jen does, and I'm not gonna ask too much of him this morning. But we'll be back in studio tomorrow with I think a whole cast of characters. I think we'll have Liv Thompson and Tony Annan and Preston. So Gamecock Larry's coming up. Y'all won't be able to hear. I'm sorry. That's just you're not gonna hear anything from the studio, so it's not gonna be the best day. And yeah, it's okay. I can see this. It's chilly out. It's nice. We're gonna have to move over there too in a second. That tent. I'm at Fort Jackson. I'm out here. I think it's the Chamber of Commerce golf tournament.
Mhm.
But as I was saying, we're leaving for the beach in the morning at 9 a.m. soccer tournament, and we're gonna make tomorrow a beach day. Of course, it's supposed to be rainy down there. I got to remember that I've got y'all turned on. I can't say anything inappropriate in between the breaks. Do we have a paper towel in here? I got a towel in my car. I was just gonna wipe down the seat.
Yeah, I know. They gave me paper towels once they opened them. Well, I think
No, I'm not. At this point, it's just I'll sit down. If I have the option to sit down, I'd like to sit down. I got a towel in my car. I can run in the next break if I need to. I think my golf clubs are in my car. All right, we're back. Sorry, yeah, like I said, I'm just not asking. I'm not gonna get Dave to. Then I have to explain everything, and it wouldn't go well. Thursday morning, jump up, and jump around. One day until the weekend. If you really want to get crazy, we're now 6 days away from the Bill Gunner 41st anniversary celebration. We'll do that next Tuesday when Jen is back in Preston. I'll completely take over the show. I'll make it all about me, more so than I typically do. And we will celebrate birthday number 41. So if you're expecting a lot of sports talk next Tuesday, May the 2nd, I'm going to go ahead and warn you, you're going to be disappointed. I'm totally going to be selfish. I'm going to be self absorbed. It's going to be all about me. Jen's going to roll her eyes multiple times. Preston's going to learn a lot more about how self involved I am. So prepare yourself accordingly. And then after that, I am personally taking Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off of next week to get myself kind of back in the slide into the month of May. We move a little bit further away from spring practice. We move further away from all the transfer portal shenanigans, all the fun things that are in it. And one of those transfer portal shenanigans that happened yesterday, South Carolina loses 2 players, one of which, not a surprise at all, Braden Davis. I think we saw that coming. I mean, it's interesting that, Shane Beamer said back when he really I think so. The one he had was he wanted more quarterbacks so they could take a lot more reps, so that he could basically divide up his 2 football fields and have 4 offenses going at the same time. 4 different quarterbacks, 5 different quarterbacks, and so that you're not all standing around watching 11 versus 11. That you can divide up and you can work on a lot of plays and get the younger guys or the bench guys some more time there on the field, running the plays, kind of getting acclimated to what they want to do. And yeah, it might not be the first team, but that's the way to do it. Where your backups, your non-starters aren't just standing on the sideline drinking water and laughing while your starters or your second team are out there doing it. And so all are out there practicing. And so, you look at what Shane went out and did, and he even went out and recruited. They had that walk on that has since left the team, I think back in December, Jalen Daniels, another kid out from the West Coast. But obviously, this past spring, you had what you wanted. I know you were slightly depleted at other positions, but obviously with Spencer Rattler, with Luke Doty, with Tanner Bailey, with Lenora Sellers, with Colton Gauthier, and with Braden Davis, you were able to run 4 or 5 offenses, and again divide up your 2 football field. I mean, you even have the indoor facility. If you have a 5th group of kids, I don't know how many walk-ons they had, and I don't know what the official roster count was, but that's one thing that Shane Beamer said he was going to do, and went out and has absolutely done it. Is the roster with quarterbacks, and then you kind of let it play out from there. But playing out from there did take one step backwards. Yesterday's Braden Davis announces he'll be entering the transfer portal. Great young man, obviously the son of a former NFLer in Antoine Davis, who played at Tennessee and then went on to a nice offensive line career with the New York Jets. But South Carolina will lose him. Dante Reno expected in next spring. So South Carolina will lose at least Braden Davis and then Spencer Rattler here over the next 10 months. And then when we get to March of next year, you'll have Sellers and Bailey. You should have Sellers and Bailey and Gauthier and Dante Reno all stepping in. I feel like it's funny to say all that because I feel like and Doty and Luke Doty. But South Carolina very good their age. This is what you expect. I think most college coaches are going to have to maybe almost be 4 or 5 deep at the quarterback position at certain times, because as we saw with Clemson, you can have 3 or 4 really good players there lined up, and if they notice, oh, okay, this young guy appears to be the starter, and this is what very well may happen with, say, a Lenora Sellers, Tanner Bailey's going into his redshirt freshman year. If those guys beat out somebody else, you're going to have a mass exodus of guys who want to go play somewhere. They don't want to sit the bench. They want to hold the clipboard. They don't want to signal in plays. But Gamecock fans should definitely get out and get on Twitter and thank Braden Davis for his time as South Carolina moves forward and sees who steps up. Competition's a great thing at the quarterback position, and with Tanner Bailey, with Lenora Sellers, with Luke Doty, and then again you can throw Dante Reno in that. I know Colton Gauthier is in that little group as well. It's something certainly that is a very good thing for South Carolina. The other one, Demetrius Watson, defensive lineman out of Fort Dorchester, puts on Twitter yesterday, or one of the social media apps. I don't know. I saw it on Twitter, but might have started it on Instagram, that he will be transferring out. South Carolina, I don't want to say that this. I'm not trying to fear monger anybody, but this is one thing that, look, South Carolina needs bodies on the interior. Now they've got more guys coming in, and obviously you just included Elijah Davis and Xavier McLeod as younger players. Elijah Davis, the junior college player, Xavier McLeod, but and again they've got guys: T.J. Sanders, Nick Barrett, Alex Hunley, Felix Hickson, still a part of that group. But I think the other position you want to develop, offensive line, defensive line, and quarterback, those are guys you really want, in my opinion, the most competition at. You want guys in the weight room. You want guys studying the extra film. Having Demetrius Watson on this team, I forget about Jamal Weiss is still out there. So they have done a good job of building up the defensive line. But that's one position, even if you don't think that guy's going to be a contributor until later in his career. And Demetrius Watson was just a freshman, a redshirt freshman. You'd like to keep those guys around. You never know what happens with the strength and conditioning program. You never know how a guy's going to all of a sudden explode and develop. And that's one. We'll see where he ends up going. We'll see if he ends up, say, going back to like a Charleston Southern or something closer to home, or he's got other destinations maybe in mind. But certainly South Carolina losing 2 guys yesterday. Also an offensive lineman, Jackson Hall, a walk-on announcing his intentions for the transfer portal. 803-404-6100. Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines where Gamecock Larry wants to weigh in on something this morning. Gamecock Larry, how you feeling? What you up to? Uh, no, I don't think I've met a root hog from Gilbert. No, I do not. Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge. Yeah. All right. Sounds good, young man. Yes, 2 out of 3. We'll talk a little baseball this morning as we get you ready for South Carolina and Auburn again. It'll be a regular Friday, Saturday, Sunday series. So South Carolina goes back to the regular series lineup there, and we'll get you ready for that a little bit. South Carolina certainly, it's interesting just because South Carolina maybe they would have preferred to just keep on playing this week, have a midweek game, stay in rhythm. Although I still think having a little bit of time off for that team, they're a little banged up, played a lot of games so far this year, 40 total games, 13-4 in the SEC, 24-1 at home, 8-5 away from home, 2-0 at the neutral sites. Obviously, coming off of the big sweep of Florida, uh, Ethan Petrie again just continues to do things that are unrealistic yet video game type stuff from him for a true freshman. Last weekend, breaking another true freshman record for South Carolina as he picked up the RBI record, took that away from Justin Smoke. Absolutely incredible. 64 RBIs for Ethan Petrie on the season. You'll get Will Sanders going on Friday night. He had one of his best starts of the season last week against Florida, where he struck out 10 and allowed just 3 hits and 2 earned runs in 6 innings of work. He's actually really dominant, by the way, against the Florida Gators. He'll need to be dominant against the Auburn Tigers on Friday night. But you got Will Sanders, who seemed to be throwing well. This team's got a lot of confidence. We'll talk a little baseball when we come back. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Captain David Dare in studio. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game. No, no live here. This one would have been Preston's Absolute Glass. So we're good. Go right on into the break. Oh yeah, no, you're right. Alive here. I got old timey. You're right. You're right. I got it. The weekend is almost upon it. Man, shoot, to me, the weekend starts on Thursday night. You might have big plans for the dinner table, getting ready for the NFL draft tonight. Maybe you're going to grill out. And I tell you what, Old Timey Meat Market is where you need to go. 3 locations: St. Andrews, South Congaree, and of course, my personal favorite because it's right up the road in Lexington. You can usually see me there purchasing a beautifully cut, ready to eat bacon wrapped filet, or maybe I'm going to grab the salmon. They've got tuna. I've mentioned that alligator tail meat. If you've never had alligator tail meat, I would encourage you to check it out. It's in the freezer in the Lexington store on your right. You come in, look to your right. They've got great sausage. I love the Southern biscuits. Really should go to the gym, talking the way I am. But before I go there, I'm definitely making it an Old Timey Meat Market because they know me, I know them, and that's the way it should be. Fresh cuts of meat, fresh cuts of beef, chicken. You can check out again the great seafood selection. They've got incredible pork chops. Whatever it is that you love to either grill out or enjoy at the dinner table, I can promise you this: Old Timey Meat Market has it. Again, 3 locations to go and check out. You've got the South Congaree location, the St. Andrews location, and of course, that fabulous Lexington location. And right now, also, if you're needing a little bit of employment, you're looking for a job, Old Timey Meat Market is hiring a cashier position at the Irmo location. You can apply inside, or you can give them a phone call, 803-772-3602. That's at 6352 St. Andrews Road. Absolutely great work environment, incredible family. If you're looking for a little bit of employment, now is the time to contact Old Timey Meat Market. Their Irmo location is hiring. So whether you're looking for a job or you're looking for great meals for the dinner table, grilling out and watching the draft or baseball this weekend, whatever it may be, Old Timey Meat Market is your one-stop shop. You will not be disappointed. I never am, and I promise you won't be either. Visit Old Timey Meat Market today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. Craig, I'm going to try and go tonight, but we're leaving for the beach right after the radio show tomorrow morning. So this is not honestly, this is not like a great day for me. I've got like 5 different things I need to do, and that doesn't include getting the oil changed in the car. So it's like I said earlier, I'm not like that disappointed about not playing out here today. Even though they said they got like 50 teams, but it's not really a good day for me to be playing golf, so I skipped out on this one. Get back to Lexington, do a few things, and then I'm supposed to be there at if you come into town early, because JC's thing starts at 4. If you come into town early, Kendra, we'll move this at 7 o'clock hour. That way we got a few extra minutes. Yeah, we'll move right at 7. Hopefully you get a little more sun over there. Did they give you specific locations for?
No, she just said, well, technically that 10 is supposed to be right now. I don't want to unpack everything. So.
I wonder when the golf tournament starts.
Registration starts at 9, and this is a whole. So we're out here until 11:30.
Registration starts at 9.
Well, sponsor check-in at 9 to 11.
9 to 11.
Oh yeah, shotgun start.
That makes sense. Yeah. For me to make this day work, I'd have needed it to start at 9.
What, the tournament?
Yeah, like 10. Like I got 2 things I got to do. That's not counting my son's soccer practice at 5:30.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I'd like to get my oil changed in my car.
Yeah. Rules and regulations, shotgun start. They got a whole bunch of stuff leading up into like it says Bloody Mary Mimosa Bar, Shop House Champions Lounge. 10 a.m. to noon.
That sounds fun, and I'd be royally upset.
Is it actually you didn't or did you not? Did you want to play in the one last week that McDaniel's one? And it isn't it? Action for it? I guess that's good.
Oh. .640 on a foggy. We'll go foggy. It looks like I'm in an M. Night Shyamalan movie out here. If you've ever seen The Mist, I believe is what it was. We're out here at Fort Jackson Golf Club this morning, broadcasting, I believe, the Chamber of Commerce golf tournament taking place. But we are the first ones out. It was cool. Last week we had some miscommunication last Friday, and I was under the impression that the front gate didn't open until 6 a.m. So I did the first segment in the car, only to discover the front gate is open. So this week we were more prepared. I was prepared. I was out here early. But what I missed last week is actually one of the really cool things about being here on base is when they play. Uh, is it the bugle, not the trumpet? Right? Somebody can answer that properly. I think John from Somerville, who has sent me his daily Clemson loss reminder. He sends me the Paul, and of course the Paul represents all the losses Clemson has to South Carolina this year. But I think John from Somerville said he was out here at the fort, and maybe you can say, I think, is it the, am I saying that correctly? 803-404-6100. Is it the bugle or the trumpet? But they play that at 6 a.m., kind of the wake up call, and that's actually really, really cool to hear that in the morning. So really, really neat there to hear that. But 803-404-6100. We're out here this morning. But yes, it is misty. And if you've ever been out here to play golf at Fort Jackson Golf Club, we're right here, just kind of on the left side of the pro shop, and there's a lot of wood surrounding me. I just kind of keep waiting for one of those monsters from the mist to come wandering out. And the next thing you know, I'm running off and allowing everything else to just kind of take place. The is it the revelry? Is that what? Am I saying that correctly? We all know, if you've listened to this program, the English language is not my forte, which normally, typically, not very good for a sports talk radio show host, but somehow I get away with it. But the revelry is that they played that this morning, and that was really, really cool to hear as I got out here and we were about to start the show. 803-404-6100 coming up in about an hour and 20 minutes. We'll be joined by Patrick Perret as we get you ready for the NFL draft tonight. Patrick put out his mock draft last night in a tweet. You can go and check that out. Tonight, you know, is there some suspense with the number one pick in the draft? Most still seem to think that Bryce Young is going to be the pick. It is CJ Stroud now who appears to be sliding down draft boards. Again, like I said to open the show, it'll have my attention for about the first 4 or 5 picks. No Gamecocks expected to go in the first round tonight. You never know. Darius Rush seems to be the guy that maybe, just maybe, would slide in the back half there in like 25 or higher. Maybe if somebody's kind of taking a real liking to him, but no Gamecocks expected to be there in that part of the draft. So I'll keep it on a little bit tonight to see what happens with the first pick. I hate to say this because I feel like I'm just buying into the narrative of this, but I am interested to see what happens with Will Levis and this stupid Reddit post, and where the odds for Will Levis went from to be the number one pick went from 40-1 to 4-1. And you know, what is Will Levis going to be as a pro quarterback? It's a fascinating question because you watch football, and a lot of you do. You watch football. I feel like a lot of us are fully capable of being a GM of it and knowing how to draft, that we wouldn't get caught up in measurables or analytics, and we would just be like, that dude's a good football player and that one's an average one. And I feel like that's what we're debating now. I get it. There are some different things there with Bryce Young in terms of size and being what we'll call, I guess, slight or slightly frail, um, as opposed to Will Levis, who some people have compared to a poor man's Josh Allen. I think that was a Patrick Perret term from back in the day. But with all that being said, how do you would you take a Will Levis at number one if you're the Carolina Panthers? That would be an absolutely mind-boggling type of selection, and I got a feeling that all of us would then wonder what in the world David Tepper and Frank Reich and the Panthers are trying to do. But it'll be really interesting to see kind of the first few selections tonight and how it plays out. Who goes number one? Where exactly C.J. Stroud falls to? Again, Patrick Perret's mock draft, which I saw this last night, and my first thought was, no, that's not going to happen. But he had Anthony Richardson going number two to the Houston Texans, and that's another one where I instantly look at that and like, I if that's who the Houston Texans take, okay, but that's why you're the Houston Texans. He had Will Anderson. This is again the Patrick Perret mock draft. He had Will Anderson going third to the Arizona Cardinals and Will Levis going fourth to Indianapolis. So we'll catch up more again with Patrick Perret coming up in about an hour and 15 minutes. I know he's fired up. For those of you wondering, again, this is Patrick. This is not me, but Patrick did have one Clemson. He's got Clemson player Miles Murphy at 19, and he's got Brian Reese at 24 to Jacksonville. So that's Patrick's mock draft. We'll get more into that when he pops on this morning later. 803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in this morning. Richard says, I'll say it now. Anthony Richardson will be the best quarterback out of this draft in 2 years. I picked Kyle Trask a few years ago. We're going to see a star this year with the Bucks if they can ever get rid of the awful head coach and Todd Bowles. I've got a bet out there with Steve and Blythewood now on Brooks Koepka, and hopefully, Richard, I'll be still doing this radio program in 2 years, but I may take you up on that Anthony Richardson thing. I don't think it's a good quarterback draft. I'll be honest. I don't think it's a very good quarterback draft. There's none of these guys. That might not be a stretch to say he's the best quarterback in this out of this draft, given that I'm not particularly thrilled with any of the guys. I think all of them have some significant flaws to their game or to their size or something of that nature. There's nobody I look at and I'm like, oh yeah, that's definitely going to work. So you might very well be right, but I don't know if that's necessarily going to be a compliment to Anthony Richardson that he's the best quarterback out of what could conceivably be conceivably could see end up being a very bad quarterback draft. But time will tell. That's the fun part about sports. We will get our answer with time. 803-404-6100 this morning. If you want to weigh in, uh, anonymous texter says, "What about my guy Preston's? What's his mock draft? Yeah, Preston's not into the mock draft thing. He's on the road traveling this morning. He'll be back tomorrow to join me. And currently, we are slated to have potentially both Liv Thompson and Tony Annan. Tony Annan, very excited about joining us. And coming up next in the next hour, I want to get into something a little bit. We'll touch on it tomorrow. The Tottenham Hotspurs did to their fans or did for their fans. And I want your take on that. Kind of an interesting idea after a blowout last week, what Tottenham did. And how would you feel if you had to pay a little bit more money to go to a football game, a South Carolina football game, but in the event of a blowout, you're getting your money back? 803-404-6100. I'll tell you about that when we come back. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game. No, that's not me. That was not me. That's Preston. So skip right on past that. That one's Huh. All right. Well, there's no breakfast here. There's nobody here, and it's cold. Not my like I could hit a golf ball right now and not hit it. I could shank it, I could pull it, I could hit it straight, and nobody would be in danger. Like nobody would be in danger. And not because I'm a great golfer, because there's one guy. Or a woman is a woman. So getting the carts ready. But we're out of studio, so I'll take that. That's cool. I like being out of the studio. Not because I dislike anybody in the studio, I just like being out, but it's kind of lonely. Can't see y'all. Just talking to myself. Yeah, you're kind of golfer. Yeah, there's nobody here. I hadn't played out here in forever. I didn't play last week, and obviously, I don't know if y'all were hearing me during the last break. I found out that they don't tee off till 12. And yeah, Craig, I'm trying to get the home team tonight. I've talked to JC. I think Lauren and I are trying to go down there, but it's not a convenient day for me. Austin's got soccer at 5:30. We got to get ready to go to the beach because I want to have a beach day tomorrow, even though it's like in North Myrtle Beach, it's like 90% chance of rain, but that's all right. Go sit in a hot tub in the rain. Is it me or is the weather still odd? Shouldn't it be warmer this time of year? I this isn't. I think y'all have paid attention long enough. No, I don't handle cold well at all. Like I got a feeling this isn't cold for most people, but yeah, to answer your question, Craig, I'd like to go. I really wanted to bring my son tonight, but his soccer coach is technically retiring this weekend, and I feel like he should go to the final practice. Oh, I could make a big announcement. Nobody will care. I could tell y'all. I could make a big. It appears I'm getting back into the AAU coaching circuit. The return of Coach Gunner. It's not quite like the return of the Mac, but similar. But it appears I'm making a return to the AAU coaching circuit. And then after this, I got to go move over there into the freaking shade. I forgot about that. Cold. I think I got gloves in my car. Actually, I might go get those. I said it's only like 60. I'm gonna be like a 50-year-old man that has to move to like Key West. That'd be my retirement. When I retire, I'm moving straight further south. So how would you feel? And we'll talk about this in the next hour. I'll tease you with this. How would you feel if you had to pay more money to go to sporting events, to your team's sporting event? You got to pay more. Prices as it now are getting slightly out of hand, which I think is crazy to begin with because, the television networks want us to stay home. The television networks are not paying these crazy prices for sports, whether it's what is it, Sunday ticket or SEC football or what is it? Who is it? Apple went in on Major League Baseball on Friday nights. These people are not paying money so that you go to games. If it was up to ABC and ESPN and Disney and the SEC network and CBS who paid money for the Big 10 and you see we got the Big 12 and Pac 12 trying to negotiate television rights, those people don't want you going to games. They want you at home in front of your 75-inch screen with your own personal bathroom, with your refrigerator, with your smoker or your grill. They want you staying at home so they can sell the advertising. So the raising of ticket prices doesn't make a lot of sense. But what if you had to pay more to go to your favorite team's game? But here's the caveat. Your team gets blown out, you get a refund. You get your money back. Well, that's exactly what happened with the Tottenham Hotspurs. Now, what makes this even more interesting is the fact that Tottenham was on the road. Their fans paid hard-earned money last week. Tottenham, by the way, a soccer team, if you're really out of the loop on what we've been talking about at times. But Tottenham, Preston's soccer club of choice, went to Newcastle, Coach Tony Annan's soccer club of choice, and Newcastle didn't just beat Tottenham. They did stuff to them that I'm not allowed to talk about on the radio. It was 6-1. It was 5-0. It was 5-0 within the first 21 minutes of the match. Harry Kane scored a goal in the second half, and then Newcastle put on the sixth goal to win 6-1. And Tottenham, the Tottenham players are refunding tickets of supporters who traveled to watch the match. They're refunding tickets. Can you imagine going to what South Carolina went to if you went to Florida this year? Now, I know college players are not professional athletes. I got that. I get that. Although there is NIL involved. Can you imagine going to a South Carolina football game on the road at Florida? One of the more embarrassing moments of the last 2 years, and you have to sit there and witness that. And I've sat through some really bad games in Florida, by the way. But can you imagine? And then South Carolina puts up an effort like that, and then the university's calling you, going, "Hey, we're sorry you came. We feel bad about our performance. We're going to refund your ticket. And we're not going to refund your hotel and your gas mileage and your Friday night dinner and your pregame tailgate. But we are going to refund, I don't know, whatever it is, $80, $90 for your ticket." That's what Tottenham did. How would you feel if you had to pay more money for South Carolina football tickets or Clemson tickets? But again, they will refund you if, say, your team gets just smoked. And yes, we can sit here and play this game of the guidelines for it, a 4 touchdown loss, 5 touchdown loss, your quarterback throws 4 interceptions, whatever it may be. But this thing from Tottenham is very interesting. This is a statement from the players to the supporters that read, "As a squad, we understand your frustration, your anger. It wasn't good enough. We know words aren't enough in situations like this, but believe us, a defeat like this hurts. We appreciate your support, home and away. And with this in mind, we would like to reimburse the fans with the cost of their match tickets from St. James Park. We know this does not change what happened on Sunday, and we will give everything to put things right against Manchester United on Thursday evening." That's today, for those of you wondering. "When again, your support will mean everything to us. Together and only together can we move things forward." Possibly one of the coolest things I've seen in sport. Now, this is not the first time it's happened, and by the way, it does appear that this is not the first time. Mainly, it seems to happen in football over in Europe, but there's been other times that stuff like this has happened where these clubs have said, "Hey, what?" Now, I have no clue what the match tickets were. I'm gonna assume they weren't $300, but it was a big match. Tottenham and Newcastle. This wasn't like the lower table team taking on the higher table team. but this was something that certainly is pretty cool. We'll talk more about it in the next hour. Dave, do we need to go to break here at the top of the hour? We're not doing that anymore. Preferably, yes. We will now hit a break, and then we will come back for the second hour. It's a very well put together Captain Dave Bill Gunner segment portion of your week. We will be right back. More of the early game. 107.5 the game. Yeah, yeah. Jen fires off the bed at 6:50 whatever, and yeah, just next 2 hours. Yeah, just fire that sucker off, and when that baby goes off, I know I got an hour. All right, excuse me. I know I got 1 minute. Gotcha. Yep. No, you're good. So next hour, just fire that puppy up there at whatever time, 6:56 something, and I'll know that I got 1 minute. And once I know I got 1 minute, I'll start to wrap up the hour. All right. Right. All right, I can't move this table. I can't promise that the live stream will stay strong because I'm going to move further away from. I don't know how the live stream's reacting on y'all's side of things because of I got oh no, 2 bars, 2 bars. Let's do that. I'll do this segment, then we'll grab it.
I mentioned it to her in there. It said like they had a problem with it. So if they don't have a problem, I'll just keep it stay here.
That'd be perfect.
Yeah. And I said, this is something that we're moving.
Because we shouldn't. Yeah. Um. We we we'll be done by the time they really get started.
Yeah. So if they don't say anything, I'll just let you see
Let's do that. Reve. It is true. You learn something new every day. And this morning, because a lot of you sent it. By the way, a lot of you don't really know how to spell the reveille. I believe is I've pulled it up on Google uh, pronunciation. The reveille, the bugle song that was played here earlier at about 6 a.m. Um, a lot of I got a lot of text messages on that. And so I would have never said reveille. I got to be dead honest. And now I'm wondering, and somebody can help me out with this. The what is it? A collie? It's a collie for Texas A&M. I thought I've always heard it called reveille, and that's why I went with reveille. And I think it's spelled the same way, but I didn't realize it. But the Google pronunciation just it tells me that the bugle that they play at 6 a.m. to wake everybody up is called the reveille. Let me know if I'm correct on that, because if so, boy, have I learned something new today. But I've always thought the collie that runs around with the Texas A&M football team was called Reveille. So something new. Go ahead. Reveille, the Boogie Woogie Bugle Boys. I I haven't. I also this is a lot of brand new information for me that I should be learning far more about. Yeah, it's my buddy Kevin Heisey says Rev Ali. That's more closer to the pronunciation, but I'm telling you, I'm up here and it's I've got the whole Google thing up and it says how do you pronounce it and what does it stand for and all the good stuff and it's saying Reve. This is the problem. This is the problem with doing a 6 a.m., 7 a.m. sports talk radio show. You're just never really you're just playing without a net, playing without a net, and apparently I've just fallen off the high wire. There's no net, just crashed and fallen, broken legs, arms, limbs, everything. So new information today, kids. Giving you one homework assignment today. Kids go into school, you're in the car, get in there, ask your teachers. I'm asking all the kids. I'm not even asking the adults anymore. Kids, you go to school today. Let's get this down. And I want kids calling me, all of us tomorrow when we should have a packed house. Tony Annan, Liv Thompson, Preston Thorne, and I'm told now producer Ed Bird will be in. We're substituting producers tomorrow. So it's a good time. Welcome in. It's the early game, hour number 2 out here at Fort Jackson this morning. Fort Jackson Golf Club again. There is starting to be a movement out here. We're starting to see more people. That's nice. The mist is still quite heavy this morning. Still a little concerned. I'm in an M. Night Shyamalan movie where creatures are just going to come wandering out of the woods, and that's going to be the end of me. But I'll continue to make it and continue to survive. Don't you worry. It's your brave and loyal and not scared at all sports talk radio show host bright and early here in the morning. Been talking a little bit about the NFL draft. Tonight, we'll have Patrick Perret joining us in roughly 52 minutes. He has already got his mock draft out on Twitter. We'll catch up with him. We'll just let him. He will be so giddy. Y'all remember Patrick. He is so giddy about this kind of thing. He's probably been fixing food all night long. He's taking the day off. He's just going to go get completely inebriated at a Nashville bar and take a nap today. I mean, this is Patrick Perret's Christmas. So we would be doing a disservice if we did not have Patrick Perret on later on today, and he will be on from 8 to 9 this morning. Again, tomorrow morning, I'm expecting just a whole slew of guests. We'll just Liv Thompson will be stopping by, Tony Annan will be stopping by, Preston Thorne will be back, myself. But we got you covered here for the next 2 days. Then again, I'll be in Monday, Tuesday, and then I will start a just full-on birthday celebration Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and we'll get you covered from there as we roll into the month of May. But the NFL draft tonight, again, as I said, I'll be invested for about 5 or 6 picks. I just not into it this year. There's some storylines, certainly. What happens with Will Levis? Um, we'll see what happens with Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud. It's a whole I think about 5 or 6 picks that will be going on tonight, and we'll kind of see how it all plays out. And then after that, I'm just not sure how invested I'll be. I'll probably get more into Tampa and Toronto in the NHL hockey. So 803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in on any of that. We've talked a little South Carolina baseball. We'll get you more ready for the Gamecocks and the Auburn Tigers coming up this weekend. It's tough to say a breather series, but when you know what the gauntlet that South Carolina just ran, taking on LSU, taking on Vanderbilt, taking on Florida, and then you look at Auburn, and Auburn's not an awful baseball team, but you go, oh, you're a breather, because then you look down the rest of the line, you go, oh, okay, Kentucky, yep, that's not going to be easy. Oh, Arkansas, another top 10 team, and then you see Tennessee to close out the regular season. You know that this is really a weekend that you need to win the series, preferably sweep. That would probably lock up a top 8 national seed there and put South Carolina in a fantastic place because I said it. I said it. I think on Monday, if you're a business owner, and you might want to start just polling employees, finding out, hey, who of you amongst you is South Carolina baseball fans? Because I'm telling you what, there's going to be a case of the flu going through Columbia, South Carolina, and the state sometime around the first weekend in June when regionals take place. A lot of people are going to be missing work in the afternoon on Thursday or Friday to get down to Founders Park at the super regionals the next weekend. Work production is going to drop significantly because I'll say it again, South Carolina baseball fans are up there amongst the best in the nation. You know, there's a lot of fan bases I've seen and been to, and you have what you would deem as your smart fans. They've seen great teams. They have a great program. They understand the sport. They know what greatness looks like. And South Carolina baseball fans have seen that from Bobby Richardson to June Raines to Ray Tanner. And I think that's something where a lot of fans, when we talked about it weeks ago, we were saying, well, is this team legit? Are you on the bandwagon? Do you need to see more? And I think there was a lot of people who would say, I've seen great baseball and this is nice, but I don't know if I believe it just yet. Well, now South Carolina fans have watched the Gamecocks run through that gauntlet that was Florida, that was Vanderbilt, that was LSU. And I think there's a new appreciation for South Carolina baseball because again, there's a lot of South Carolina baseball fans who have seen great baseball over the last 40, 30, 20 years and understand what it looks like and know it when they see it. And South Carolina baseball right now is back to being amongst the nation's elite, at least for this year. And South Carolina fans will absolutely turn Founders Park into a carnival type atmosphere coming up for the regionals, and if they get a super regional. So I'm going to go ahead and tell bosses out there, keep an eye on that because you're going to lose some work production coming up those weekends if South Carolina continues rolling the way they are. And it'll start tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. You can hear it right here on 107.5 The Game. First pitch, 6:45. Get there early. Kev Balknight having his jersey retirement ceremony. One of the all-time South Carolina greats, not just in baseball, but across South Carolina athletics. One of the all-time greats will be honored tomorrow night at Founders Park. We'll continue on with that, and then I'll get back into this Tottenham Hotspurs thing because a couple of you weighing in this morning, and it's very, very interesting. I'm interested. Would you pay more money to go to football games if you know that your team, if they get blown out again, you can set the parameters on this 21 points? Craig weighs in on our live stream and says, so if you're down 21 to nothing at half, you just start pulling for the other team in the second half? That's a good question. Who knows? But the point is that Tottenham Hotspurs, they went on the road to Newcastle last weekend. It was Tony Annan versus Preston Thorne. Uh, didn't go well for Preston's Spursies, and a 6-1 beating results in the players, the team, refunding people's money, fans' money that went over to Newcastle to watch the match. How would you feel? How would you feel about your athletic department if you had to pay more money, but if your team goes to Florida in the swamp and gets just bum rushed, gets run out of the building, you're getting your money back? Would you be okay with that? But you got to pay more money for your home tickets. You got to pay more money for your season tickets. Would you be okay with that if there almost became a performance clause in your season ticket package? 803-404-6100. We'll get into that a little bit when we come back. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. Yep, AAA Heating and Air. Sitting out here at Fort Jackson Golf Club, it's chillier than I expected. I'm at least dressed warm, but I tell you what, I could really use AAA Heating and Air with some kind of heater right now because I don't handle the cold well. And that's why just several weeks ago, I had AAA Heating and Air out to my house to upgrade my heating and air unit. They know what they're doing. They were friendly, they were courteous. They took care of myself and my family because they know how to treat you like their family. They came out again. The cleanup was exceptional. I got great advice on how to use the heating and air unit. They even helped save more energy. AAA Heating and Air took care of my family. And right now is the absolute best time to be in touch with them. You could save up to $5,300. Let me repeat that, $5,300 on a brand new heating and air unit. I bet that has your attention because right now, because of the Inflation Reduction Act, you can get up to $3,800 in tax credits. Again, $3,800 in tax credits. Plus, with AAA Heating and Air, they offer you $1,500 to buy back your old unit. 3,800, 1,500, that's $5,300 right there that you could save. And that's not even the best part. I mean, you're saving so much money. And with AAA Heating and Air, that's not even the best part. They offer you a 15-year parts and labor warranty. So just like when I had my new heating and air unit installed, I sleep easy at night, knowing if something goes wrong, AAA Heating and Air will be out the next day to get it fixed, to make sure the Gunner family is either cool during the summer or warm during the winter. Contact them today, 803-677-1500. Again, 803-677-1500. Contact AAA Heating and Air today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
You didn't know the song Ed Bird was talking about.
That's Dave.
Oh, Dave,
No,
yeah.
yeah.
I didn't even know that one. Don't be inside.
I don't like it.
So,
It's chilly out here.
yeah, I'm trying to do some work. I'm gonna be out all day.
Okay. All
I'll
right.
be back out.
No, no. Look at you, Dave, doing some work at 7:22 in the morning. The Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy. What's the official name of that? Is that the official name of that song? Okay, Kendra, our esteemed promotions manager, was just even she just walked by and was like, "I can't believe you don't know that song." I was like, "I don't know why I would know that song. That's news." But so apparently, I'm just behind on the times, Dave. I'm born ahead of my time. We are way ahead of your time. I've got my donuts down. None out here as we were out at Fort Jackson Golf Club this morning. A little chilly out here actually. I've got the sweater on and the long pants. Came a little bit more prepared. Preston will be back tomorrow. He was terrified after last week having to break out the kitty cat blanket with the two little kittens on it that uh I should have taken a picture of that blanket and posted it because that was a sight to behold. Was Preston wrapped around in that little kitty blanket that he had? 803-404-6100 and so again, just interested. I'm going to bring this back up tomorrow too, just because I'll have the soccer guy and the football guy, Tony Annan. But the story last week, the Tottenham Hotspurs losing 6-1 to Newcastle. It was a road match for Tottenham, but because it was such a beating, such an absolute beating, Tottenham, and it's been an odd season, not to go too deep for those of you who don't care about soccer, but it's been an absolutely odd and now slightly embarrassing season for Tottenham. And so they get beat so bad 6-1 that the players actually go out and refund the money for the tickets that the fans of Tottenham used for the Newcastle game. And it's an interesting concept. Now, it appears this seems to happen more often than not in soccer. I've read a couple different instances of this happening. But all over Clemson team, ticket prices are getting expensive, and I John this morning the says it's already baked in on. He says there's already a performance clause in tickets for college football. Just the prospect of the games being decent over the next 3 years has almost doubled prices. But that's my point. If you're going to pay that, how would you feel? Let's say if you pay more for season tickets. I think that's fair for season tickets because if you're a Gamecock Club member, you have first right to away game tickets. And certainly South Carolina or Clemson, they want you to go and support their team when they're on the road. They want to sell out that allotment of tickets. They don't want to return any to a Florida or a Georgia or whomever. How would you feel if your team goes and gets smacked like they did against Tennessee 2 years ago or Florida last year? If the university refunds, just say 50% of your ticket. Again, I know those road trips used to make them all the time. It's not all about the ticket prices. You got hotel expenses, you got gas price that you're covering, you got your tailgate supplies that you got to cover, and Lord knows what else. But the ticket prices the university can kind of control. And let's say South Carolina goes on the road like they did to Tennessee a couple years ago. You've spent your hard-earned money to go up and follow the team, to cheer them on, and you're going to celebrate, not at Tennessee or Florida by running on the field, but you're going to celebrate. And these universities are making money off of the fans. And if South Carolina was to say, hey, you went on the road and you supported us. We appreciate you making the drive, taking time out of your weekend, a weekend that you could have sat at home. How would you react though if the university said we're going to charge you a little bit more? We're going to make a little bit more money. 803-404-6100. It's an interesting concept. It's one that I had never seen until I saw the story pop up again. There was a statement from Tottenham that the players put out. This is from the players to the supporters, and it read, "As a squad, we understand your frustration, your anger. It wasn't good enough. We know words aren't enough in situations like this, but believe us, a defeat like this hurts. We appreciate your support, home and away, and with this in mind, we would like to reimburse fans with the cost of their match tickets from St. James Park. We know this does not change what happened on Sunday, and we will give everything to put things right against Manchester United on Thursday evening, when again, your support will mean everything to us. Together and only together can we move things forward." I can even put it in the terms of a bowl game. How many of you out there went to the Papa John's Bowl? Raise your hand. It's radio. I can't see you, so you don't have to. But I did. I was there. It's honestly become almost like a badge of honor if you were at that Papa John's Bowl game that was well over a decade ago, because now you're like, yes, I was one of the few that braved the cold, that braved the sound system, that kept playing only like the first 7 seconds of Sandstorm. I braved the fact that the stadium was unaware that people were going to come and forgot to order a bunch of pizzas that we might have wanted from Papa John's. The whole experience was wild. Stuff happened that I don't think during the 7 o'clock hour of this program I'm allowed to speak about. But that whole trip, and it's become more of like a badge of honor for people when you're like, hey, what's the worst football game you've ever been to? Most people will be like, yeah, that Papa John's bowl game where it was like 7 degrees and we were losing to Connecticut. Not in basketball either, like in football. It was a bad experience. That's a perfect example. There's some of you who went to that Outback Bowl game in what I think 2008, 2000. I believe it might have been the 2009 Outback Bowl game, but the 2008 season where South Carolina got drubbed by Clemson up in Memorial Stadium, the game that earned Dabo Swinney his job. And then you go down, you spend your hard-earned money to go down to Tampa only to see Iowa just steamroll South Carolina. We're talking about a new era of fan athletic department engagement. And the athletic department, to an extent, not just at South Carolina, but across the board, has to find a way to get you to continue to spend money. And there should be maybe an incentive clause on this. Hey, we realize you're spending your time, your money, your energy to come and support us. And again, this would be safe for Gamecock Club members or IPTABE members, not just for the random fan who purchased a ticket and wore a Gamecock polo and a Gamecock visor down to a game. But is it unfair? 803-404-6100. Is it unfair for the university now to have the university itself to have a bit of a performance clause where if you've bought season tickets to South Carolina basketball, is it fair to not expect them to get blown out by Tennessee and Texas A&M by 40 points? And if that happens, you get a small refund on your tickets? Or is that on 404-6100 is what I asked you this morning because it's an interesting concept. LaDonna says, "Hi guys, yes, it would certainly be great if the University of South Carolina Gamecocks get smacked in football in the football stadium that we get a refund. My husband and I have been Gamecock donors, members, half scholarship givers for 30 plus years. We have 4 in my family, so we have given and given and given to the university. It is our choice. We love our Gamecocks. It would be nice to get a little money back every now and then. And again, all I'm saying on this, again, it's you don't get your money back if South Carolina goes out and thumps number 6 Georgia 35-7, and we're all celebrating and we're contemplating rushing the field. But I think we are in a new era of college athletics where the athletic department, you, the fan, you, the Gamecock Club member, you have the leverage. You have the leverage now. The TVs are nice and big. Your personal bathroom is a lot better than those at the stadium. I don't care what kind of bathroom you have. I've been in the ones at the stadium. I'm promising you, your bathroom is better than the one at the stadium. Your refrigerator is probably more well stocked and slightly cheaper than going to the concession stand for a $27 small pizza. I mean, let's be honest. Universities, not just South Carolina, they've got to find a way to get you to stay as member. Why this conversation has come up? Why would you still be a member when maybe you could give? Would you rather be a Gamecock Club member, pay all that money for tickets, go to the stadium, watch them get run out of the stadium, or would you rather sit at home, maybe donate to Garnet Trust or Carolina Rise, donate a little less so that those entities can help essentially purchase players that then you can watch on TV and win? I mean, there's a lot. The Gamecock Club, IPTAY, the whatever the Florida Gator Club is called, whatever Georgia's athletic department, whatever their club. You get the point. They're competing with other entities now to get you to buy season tickets. Is it completely unfair? I don't think it is. I don't think it's unfair at all that if South Carolina loses, if there's a 4 touchdown loss or a 30-point beating in basketball, that you get your money back for that ticket for that game. Now, let's not go all the way down into the PSLs and all that. I'm just saying the money for the face value of a ticket. 803-404-6100. McGee says, I think my Spurs have opened a real Pandora's box here. It's a legitimate thing. 803-404-6100. Again, how you can be a part of the community. Alex weighs in. I appreciate this. My daughter and I love your show and listen every morning. We come for the jokes, stay for the thoughtful perception on life and sports. Thank y'all for making our long commute to school and work engaging. I teach at her school, so we are together through the entire commute. So again, thank y'all. Love the show. Appreciate that, Alex. Hope you and your daughter are doing well on this Thursday morning. 7:33. When we come back, I'll read some more text messages from the Firehouse Subs text line. It's an interesting, I would imagine the majority of y'all would actually say, yes, this now needs to be something that clubs, Gamecock Club, IPTAY, whatever, need to do. They need to earn me. They need to cater to me a little bit more. We'll talk about that as we roll along. It's the early game. 107.5 the game. 0 res. Okay. Thank you. Oh, it's that time. It's misty out here this morning. It's wet. My shoes are going to probably pick up some debris here from the grounds at Fort Jackson Club. Then I'm going to go back home and I'm probably going to track it in the house. The carpet's going to be dirty. The rugs, the tile. I'm not going to stand on my couches, so the upholstery should be okay unless I fall down in the grass out here. But everything's going to be dirty, and then I'm going to have to clean, and I'm going to the beach tomorrow. Nope, going to call 0 res. 803-262-4020. I'm going to get the experts with the ZR Water. With the ZR Water, I'm telling you what, you should check it out. No soapy, sticky residue, no harsh chemicals. The ZR Water is the secret ingredient from 0 res in making your home look absolutely spectacular. That's exactly what I'll do after being out here today. You can call them yourself, 803-262-4020, or you can schedule a line, zerorescolumbia.com. Mention me, Bill Gunner, at 1075 The Game. You get 3 rooms of carpet clean for just $129. That's right, a fantastic deal that you need to take advantage of right now. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for just $129 when you mention me, Bill Gunner, at 1075 The Game. Don't wait any longer. Contact Zero Res. Again, you can feel comfortable with the kids, with you, with the pets, whoever's rolling around on the carpet, just rolling around, having a good time, you'll feel fine because, again, Zero Res does not leave behind any harsh chemicals. Call them today, 803-262-4020, or schedule online, zerorescolumbia.com. Zero Res, spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean. All righty. We'll see. Ooh, it's cold. I think it's getting colder too, by the way. I think it's actually getting colder, and it's misting slightly. Oh, I gotta get this. Sure, I'll plug it up here in a second. I got that thing running. Like I said, I put my computer on it. Just I think it's getting colder out here. We might want to. I tell you what, just it's misting. That thing's getting a little wet. Do we want to move this back or something just a little bit? Let me go pick up. There we go. Yeah, that's good. I can handle the rest. I just looked over and I saw it was down to yellow. I was like, oh. That is at 43%. So definitely gonna. Yeah, it's definitely getting colder out here. The wind is just like picked up slightly. 7:39 on your Thursday morning commute. Bill Gunner and Captain David Ayer, because Jen has headed back up north for a few days. Preston Thorne doing some work this morning, couldn't quite make it. So it's just me, just you, and plenty of your thoughts. 803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in. Brad says you're only going to get paid for a blowout every once in a blue moon, so you would lose more money overall if you pay more per game. Teams that frequently get blown out would never offer the deal. I don't know. It's like an insurance policy, though, isn't it? I mean, I get what you're saying. Again, the reason we're talking about this, the Tottenham Hotspurs were demolished in soccer terms, I believe. I believe that's what they call it when you get beat 6-1. Ask Tony in that tomorrow. But the Tottenham Hotspurs were beaten 6-1. They were down 5-1 within the first 20 minutes. For those of you who don't follow soccer all that much, that's hard to do. You actually kind of have to try to be down 5-0 within 20 minutes. Like, there's some walking involved. There's some just kind of swatting at the ball. It actually requires a little bit of work. Similar in a way to what happened to South Carolina at Tennessee last year, where the Gamecocks were down very quickly. But it is an insurance, and I think it brings up it why I'm using it for football or basketball or baseball if you get run ruled at home or whatever. But it brings up the question of what can athletic departments in terms of tickets do to keep you engaged, because I do constantly wonder about where we're going with athletic departments and in Gamecock clubs. Again, I'm using the Gamecock club to get you to purchase tickets because prices are rising. And trust me when I say this, we're definitely not a political show, and I don't really pay enough attention to what's going on as it pertains to the economy and everything. But I guess my point on this is it's getting harder and harder for you to spend a lot of money out there to make season football tickets part of your daily thing. And that's part of it. Remember, now I'm not just talking about the person who's not a Gamecock club member who purchases tickets from a friend or purchase tickets on Ticketmaster. I mean, this is if you're a member of IPTAY or Gamecock Club, paying your dues plus your tickets, because that's the other thing, right? Like, it's getting a little bit easier now for the non-Gamecock Club members to go on Ticketmaster, and instead of paying your Gamecock Club dues, whatever level you are, and then buying your tickets and that expense adding up, it's getting easier for you to not be a Gamecock Club member and just contact a buddy, look at Ticketmaster, and yeah, okay, let's hypothetically say you want to go to the Mississippi State game. Let's say the Mississippi State game, not a huge opponent, not a lower level opponent, not Furman, but yet at the same time, not the Florida Gators when they come. But you decide, hey, I want to go to the Mississippi State game. I want to take four of my family of four. Okay, you go on Ticketmaster, you're probably going to pay $120, $130 per ticket. We'll say 120. All of a sudden, that's $480. You decide you want to go tailgate. You're going to spend all your money. At the end of the day, yeah, you're spending a nice chunk of money, but it's nowhere compared to what you would spend, say, for season tickets for 4 tickets. It's nowhere compared to what you would pay for the money that you have to put up for dues. You go get that one football game experience. You watch the Furman game at home. You watch maybe, say, the Jacksonville State game at home. You've saved money. So how can athletic departments, make sure that the one time you decide to go, or if you're purchasing season tickets, they give you a little bit of an insurance clause? Because I agree, this would be of usually the rare occurrence, right? Like, that's the other part. This is not happening. Hopefully, this is not happening frequently. I mean, let's be honest, it's happening frequently. You're probably not purchasing season tickets to begin with. So maybe it happens once every 2 years. Maybe it happens once every 3 years. If you're an Alabama fan, you don't even worry about it. You're not even worried. If you're a Georgia fan, this isn't even something that you have to consider, although it's nice to have in your back pocket. Something goes completely wrong. You've purchased tickets. You show up at the stadium. The next thing you know, you're getting blown out. You're not real sure what happened. You feel a little bit better about it. There is an obligation when you're paying what we're paying now for season tickets, for dues, for premium seat licenses. There is an obligation for them to give you your money's worth, right? 803-404-6100. And if they don't meet that expectation, if they don't give you that product, you deserve a refund. That's why I find this Tottenham Hotspurs thing very interesting. Again, it's something that probably will never happen. But as we move into the era of larger television contracts, as we move into the era of a brand new era of college football, Texas and Oklahoma, and in baseball and basketball as well, I think the fans have leverage here. 803-404-6100. Let me get back out to the Firehouse Subs text line here. Ethan says maybe you could pay for "we got destroyed" insurance for each away ticket. $10 for each ticket. That's not an awful idea. Go straight to the university. Anonymous texter says, over 27 years, I figured I've given up over $200,000 to the Gamecock Club in season tickets. If I just invested that money, I'd be long retired before 50. Of course, you think about how much you might have gotten over the last 27 years if you'd gotten some of your money back, because there were a couple lean years during that time. Jim weighs in. What if you had the choice to either get a refund or you could decide to have that money go to a particular player who you thought did really well, even in a loss, or it goes to Garnet Trust? That's an idea too. This is an open kind of ended conversation as to what could be done, kind of like the storming of the field conversation. What should be done when teams continue to storm the field, or excuse me, fans continue to storm the field? How do you stop that? Can you stop that? Let's be honest on this. If the SEC comes back and implements a $50 million fine, a $50 million, that's a lot. That's a lot for storming the field. And South Carolina this year, who's the highest team though? Who's the highest ranked? Well, let's be honest. It's been a long time since we've seen South Carolina beat Clemson at home. I don't really care what Clemson's record is. It's been a long time. South Carolina beats Clemson, and South Carolina's going to get fined with $50 million. Are you concerned about it? I mean, I guess you would be if the university says, "All right, if we storm the field, we're fining all of the Gamecock Club members, even the ones who didn't go out on the field. We're fining all of you, $100." That's not going to go over well, so they're not going to do that. But is there a financial fine where you're like, maybe I'll stay in the stands this game after a big victory? I mean, do you think the students are worried? The students are one that leads the charge, right? They're on the field first. Students don't care about a financial fine. Now the university may, and maybe they ramp up security, and that could get really interesting. But it's kind of like this too. The university needs to protect the fans too in the event that you go there and you've spent your hard-earned money, and things don't go quite as well. So if it's a 4 touchdown loss, if it's a 30-point beating in basketball, if you get 10 run ruled in baseball, hey, also you know what that does? That kind of gives the university incentive to maybe pay a little bit more for coaches to win. Or if your program's going down a bad path, maybe you make that change a little bit quicker and you don't say, "Hey, we're going to give you another year or two to kind of see if you can turn this around." It adds some incentive to the university to build a winner quicker, because you start paying out money for beatings. Yeah, you're going to all of a sudden go, "Hey, we need you to step up or get out." 803-404-6100. I'll continue to get to the Firehouse Subs text line. Patrick Perret due up here in about 12 minutes as well. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. Ooh, all right, I'm going to walk inside for a second because it's actually getting colder out here. Oh. This is becoming slightly uncomfortable out here. And Patrick should be hopping on the live stream as well. So everybody's still hanging around. Patrick will actually be here on the live stream. There's Patrick right there on the live stream. Welcome in
Hello.
to a very chilly. Huh? You're fine. Go anywhere. I'm coming. Saying like, what is up with the weather? Yeah, it's solid, great. Coming up in about 7 minutes, Patrick Perret will join us. He'll make Patrick no pressure on there as Patrick's hopped on the live this morning. He's since you've talked for over an hour about absolutely nothing. He says I need more. That a lot of y'all don't need more content, but James from Macon is not very happy. That's all right. I can live with that. 803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in if you want to do so this morning on any of that. Again, South Carolina baseball. I know some of you are asking about the weather this weekend and if South Carolina would be able to play all 3 games. No announcement on that just yet. I mean, they'll play that by ear the day of the game. The day of the hours leading up. If it looks very, very bad, obviously, I think it's tomorrow is the rainy day, and then Sunday is somewhere around 50%. But they'll make that decision, I think, more so tomorrow and then Saturday as we get a little bit closer. So nothing there to get into. Again, we'll get into the NFL draft. 90% is what Dave says on what day? Tomorrow. Sunday is now 90%. I'll be out of town, so I've been looking at the North Myrtle Beach weather and not paying attention to as much up around here. But so yeah, we'll see what happens. I know Mark Kingston and South Carolina would like to, especially with being a home series, would like to get as much in as possible And I'm sure they'll work to kind of make that work as each and every day. Richard says James must not be a regular listener. This isn't a sports talk show. No, it's not. We've stayed away from the draft pick stuff today. We did get a consensus yesterday for Preston about the chicken wings discussion, but yeah, no, we like to hit many different topics for a morning show. 803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in. Coming up next, though, we'll get into the NFL draft. I'm interested here. Patrick has put out his mock draft. He knows, he's aware, he's been breaking everything down for weeks. He's just ready to go, and he's got a mock draft. I question his second selection. We'll get who he's got going to the Houston Texans, because we'll get into it. The NFL draft tonight, couple Clemson players expected to be called. Not expecting to hear Darius Rush's name just yet. You never know what could happen, obviously, late in the first round, but we're not expecting to hear Darius Rush. But we'll certainly get into Patrick's hot takes on Aaron Rodgers, who yesterday walked around barefoot at the New York Jets complex, just made himself right at home. We'll also get into to where the South Carolina players he expects them to go, and we'll talk a little bit about also what he sees with Spencer Rattler for next year. So, a lot to get to. Patrick Perret makes his triumphant return to the early game next hour. We'll talk to you then. Hour 3 on the way. Good job. Good job. He's on hold? Okay, good deal. We're good. What up?
Not too much. Draft tonight. We're heading to Raleigh tomorrow for a wedding.
How are we heading to Raleigh for?
There's a wedding.
Okay.
A nice little 8-hour drive.
Is that how far it is from Nashville to Raleigh?
Yeah. Let's get to do that on Friday and Sunday. And then another short week, and I'm going to New York because my brother's graduating from college. I'm scrolling through the live stream to a lot of familiar faces. Who has need a lot more Saturday Pro Football as a name?
I'm trying to turn this table for two reasons. One, I think if I can face the wind, I can stay a little bit warmer. And two, he said I might be blocking the door.
Hurricanes coming to Man United, Stephen. I will be watching today. I'm a Man United fan. What's up, Anthony? This is one of my hotter takes. I don't have any confidence in CJ Stroud. Yeah, I would too. I saw those rumors going crazy literally just because of someone on Reddit, and then it changed the Vegas odds, and just a joke. I'll be stunned if it's not Bryce Hill.
Tonight, NFL Draft, ESPN, Chris Berman, Mel Kiper, Todd McShay, they'll all discuss it at all. Just one big it's gonna Patrick. This is Patrick Perret back, excited. He's on the live stream. You can go to youtube.com, search 1075 The Game, click join, subscribe, be a part. Patrick's ready. How many days of preparation has been put into tonight for you?
I mean 362, I guess.
Yeah,
last year's draft was 3 days, and then it was on the next year.
Oh, it is your kind of night on the live stream. You were discussing the Will Levis jump up the Vegas charts to get ready for the potential to be the number one pick. Give us your breakdown. Let's just start with that right there. The Will Levis move up the Vegas charts. I don't know if he moved up draft boards, but the Will Levis move.
The Vegas thing was really weird because it coincided with there was something that happened on Reddit. I think things always just get out of control on Reddit. That's why I am careful whenever I need to go onto Reddit for something. But I think there was a Reddit rumor and it just took a life of its own, and maybe the bookmakers got scared, so they moved him from 400 to 1 to 40 to 1 or something like that in the span of one day. I think he's bounced back up and that has died down. I'll be stunned if the Panthers take Will Levis number one. For me, it's Bryce Young or nothing. I think he's far and away the best quarterback. I know the height and the weight are an issue, but Bryce Young's also so smart and protects himself so well. He can feel pressure. He can get rid of the ball. He doesn't take hits as much as these other guys, so he doesn't need to hold up as much because he's just that cerebral. He's the only person that I really love in this draft class.
Well, let's start with that. Let's jump into it. Let's just go straight into it because you're just ready. You're fired up. Give me your take on the Panthers trading up from where they were to get this number one pick, what they gave away, and was it worth it for Bryce Young? It's one thing to be the number one pick if you want to take that chance, but for the Panthers, for their needs, for their organization, for where they're going with Frank Reich, was it the right move to draft up for Bryce, to trade up for Bryce Young?
Yeah, probably so. And just because they're one of these teams, and I mean, the Colts at 4 are going to feel like one of these teams that has to take a quarterback just because for the Colts, it's been aging veterans the last couple years with Matt Ryan and Carson Wentz. And with the Panthers, it's been younger guys with sort of upside that are on kind of prove-it contracts, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold. And it's not working. They need to find an answer. David Tepper's been desperate to find a quarterback. So to trade up to 1, I think was pretty much their only option because I think Bryce Young's a sure thing. I mean, yes, he's complete outlier size-wise, but he's always been that. He was that in the SEC. I mean, the people in the SEC are just about as big as guys in the NFL. He took a lot of hits that would be penalties in the NFL because the NFL's officiated tighter than the SEC. So he's passed every test that he's ever taken, and he's just a stud. So I think he is a franchise guy and the only one. So if the Panthers say they'd traded up to 4 or 3, the Cardinals are a big trade spot because they don't need a quarterback. If the Panthers traded up to 3, sure, they wouldn't have given up as much, but then they could have their second or third choice of quarterback, and it's just, in my opinion, it's not worth it to move up 6 spots and still get the third quarterback. If you're going to move up to get a quarterback, you just move up to number 1 and make sure that you get your guy. It's the only logical thing, I think.
How quickly Andy Dalton has been brought in kind of as the mentor. How quickly do you leave Andy Dalton? I'm assuming Andy Dalton will be the starter when I ask you this question, at least for a small period of time. How quickly does Andy Dalton get supplanted by or replaced by Bryce Young?
I don't know what the odds are right now. I'm thinking Bryce Young's week 1 starter. He's not someone. Yeah, I mean, he's not someone that needs to learn the offense. He is so smart. He's the smartest guy in this class. I think he's going to pick everything up right away, and they're going to want to see him out there on week 1. If we're looking at other people, if Will Levis goes number 4, the Colts seem to be in love with him. He'll probably start week 1 because there's just no other options. But
don't give away that board yet. I got lots of questions for you as we go through your mock draft.
if whoever goes number 2, like I think Davis Mills will probably start week 1 in Houston, no matter what they do or who they draft. But Bryce Young is just too good. I think he's going to pick everything up right away. He'll get drafted tonight. He'll be in Charlotte tomorrow. He'll have the playbook down by next weekend, and he's going to be ready to rock. That S2 test that everyone's been talking about, Bryce Young tested off the charts. So Bryce Young is just a super genius. They said Nick Saban said he could be an offensive coordinator right now. Like Nick Saban and his OCs would talk to Bryce Young about game plans and take his opinions into account. He's just so smart, and he's gonna step in day one, and he's gonna be like a veteran quarterback. So there's gonna be a very little learning curve for him.
Let's focus on the quarterbacks for a second. Give me the top, rank your top 4, the big 4 here, and then I want two guys that'll be drafted in later rounds that could be a Brock Purdy. I guess we could always use Tom Brady, but I like the Brock Purdy one because that's more relevant. That could be a Brock Purdy type situation. So give me the 4 in order. You've kind of said Will Levis at number 4, but rank the 4. Don't tell me where they're going just yet. Rank the top 4, and then give me 1 or 2 guys that could be a Brock Purdy-esque type situation.
So where I'm landing right now, Bryce Young, number 1 far and away, tier of his own. And then I don't love anyone else, but I just put Anthony Richardson at number 2 because if I'm taking a quarterback in the first round and I'm not sure of him, then at least the upside I want to be greatest quarterback of all time. Like that's what Anthony Richardson's upside is, because he's just everything physically about him is so ridiculous and we've never seen it before. He's the size of Cam Newton, but way more athletic than Cam Newton. He's got a stronger arm than everyone else. Like he can do anything, and his floor early on is going to be still pretty high because he can run the ball and you can use him as a weapon like the Ravens did with Lamar his rookie year. So I think Anthony Richardson's number 2, and then Will Levis number 3 because physically he's there too. I mean, he's got ridiculous tools. He's a good athlete. Kentucky, it's just they've not built around him at all. He's been running for his life. He's been playing hurt. So I think he's kind of taken a difficult rap. I'm pretty much out on CJ Stroud. I would take him in the middle of the first round. I would not give up anything to go get him. I wouldn't trade for him. It's just the more I watch him, it just is so easy for him. Life has been so easy for him. He's had outrageous receiving cores every single year. He's going to have 2 offensive tackles drafted in the top 40 to 50 picks this year. He's always protected, refuses to run even when there's green grass in front of him. I don't think that he does anything special. He's got a solid arm. I mean, he's very accurate, but there's so much more that goes to it. Like it's just life is so easy that the NFL is going to be a world of hurt for him early on, and he's nowhere close to where Justin Fields was in that same offense, in my opinion.
803-404-6100 if you hear anything in this hour that perks your interest with what Patrick Perret has to say. Feel free to weigh in on the Firehouse Subs text line. Your arch nemesis and your good buddy Richard, who is still all about he wants to trade Trey Lance, wants to just get Trey Lance out of football. But he says, I'll read you both of his text messages. He says, my man Patrick, Tyree Wilson will be the second pick. I believe Davis Mills is a decent quarterback if they give him a chance. So don't blow it on another bad Ohio State quarterback. And then he goes on to say, I don't like Levis as a first-round quarterback, but dude built like Captain America. Poor decision-making, much like Sam Darnold. He'll go forward to the Colts, I believe. We'll let you debate that with Richard a little bit. We'll get into your top 5 picks here coming up. We'll talk a little South Carolina draft with you, where you see some of those guys going. A lot for you to cover while I sit here and shiver. Go ahead.
If people want to look at the mock draft that I put out last night, this is not what I think. This is strictly if I'm the GM and I have to answer for these picks for all 31 teams that have, or not even 31 because there's some double picks, but for the first round, what I would do. I'm not predicting the number 2 pick go that way, but I would do it if I was making that pick.
That's what Patrick Perret would do. We'll get into that. His number 2 pick is very interesting to the Houston Texans. We'll let him describe that when we come back, plus more. It's NFL Draft Day. Patrick Perret is along to give us the entire breakdown from the Perret Big Board. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Do you have time in your show to do a interview with this person? No.
Not really. I've got him for the whole hour.
Are you going to
Yeah.
I don't know. He asked me, I was like, I don't know.
No, so I got a guess on the NFL. I got a guess on the NFL draft. I didn't know. I would just say I don't think it's your fault either, but I would just say no.
Yeah, I just want to know if you have like a.
Yeah, just say I've got an NFL draft. I've got an NFL draft guy all hour.
I'll just say it's high.
You know what I've got? Actually, Patrick, hold down the fort. I got hand warmers in my car. I'll be right back.
Yeah. I don't think so, because the 49ers don't really have anything to offer. The weird thing is the 49ers have 11 picks, but they have no first rounders or second rounders. So in order to get Lamar, I mean, for the franchise tag, it takes 2 1s, and they don't have a 1 this year, nor do they have a 2. So I don't know how Lamar could possibly end up in San Francisco by the end of the night. $40 to 1 to 4 to 1, yeah. Crazy. Nashville's great. Weather just turned. It's starting to get nice out. Got the baseball stadium right next to me. Went to a minor league game. Pool's finally open. Things are going good. Yeah, I mean, there is a case to be made that CJ Stroud is good at all the things that are important, but also it's kind of changing, I think. Most of the best quarterbacks are above average athletes now. I think Joe Burrow is probably carrying the torch for the guys that are mediocre athletes. And Joe Burrow is still a good athlete. He can use his legs. He can move the chains, break tackles, all that stuff. CJ Stroud's probably comparable to Joe Burrow physically. So it's not like CJ Stroud's a terrible athlete or anything. He refuses to ever run. Whereas Joe Burrow chose to run frequently. Devil's advocate for myself, CJ Stroud against Georgia was probably the best game that any of these quarterbacks played. Period.
Yeah, well,
It's Reader.
huh?
It's Reader.
Oh, no problem.
The guy that you're getting ready to interview.
I've got somebody I didn't know for really yesterday. So yeah.
Well, we've been talking to whoever we've been talking to for a while. But, at the radio station,
Yeah, she's in there. She said she didn't know you were out. I was out here. Because it's a B106, and so they might be doing something with B106.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm with 107.5.
Okay, gotcha.
So I would expect, yeah, they'll probably do all the interviews with me, which I think starts at like 9. Because like I've been out here since 6.
Are y'all on the same radio station?
Same cluster.
Same question. Okay.
So yeah.
I'm buying a jacket. I'm so cold.
It was not this bad when we started.
Yeah.
It's
Dropping?
quickly.
Yeah.
How cold is it?
I mean, it's mid 50s. I mean, it's not like, but I don't handle, you know me, I don't handle cold well at all. And yeah, now they've come up. Yeah. Like 2 of my toes, I'm starting to lose. This is when you know you're getting old. Like I'm losing feeling in my toes. Don't forget about our craft beer passport. Still available. 38 craft beers for $99, a $285 value. You can go to 1075thegame.com, click on sweet deals, and check that out. The craft beer passport that we have going on. Again, you can purchase 38 craft beers for just $99. It's a $285 value. Speaking of which, Jay and Terry will actually be out today, the halftime show at Columbia Craft, promoting the craft beer card 12 to 3. I actually will be swinging by there sometime around late around 2 o'clock or 2:30. So I'll even be out there. So if you're annoyed by Jay and Terry, you can come actually hang out with me, and we'll have a good time and chat a little bit about tonight's NFL draft, with which Patrick Perret is joining us now to break down. He's got his mock draft out there. You can go to _Patrick Perret to check it all out. And it was the first pick, I think, is relatively easy, right? Like we're going to be absolutely shocked if something different happens and we end up seeing anybody other than Bryce Young. But after that, it gets a little entertaining, and your mock draft takes an interesting turn. You're going with Anthony Richardson, which I think is an absolute disaster, an absolute disaster. But you're going with Anthony Richardson as your second pick to the Houston Texans.
Yes. So this is the what I would do. I'm not expecting Anthony Richardson to hear his name called number 2. But my second choice, I would say, for the Texans would be just take Will Anderson and call it a day. But my argument for the Anthony Richardson thing is either you get 1 year to sit him behind Davis Mills, and who knows, you might be picking number 1 next year, because they should have been picking number 1 this year, but Lovie Smith knew he was getting fired and sabotaged it and won the game in week 18 last year and lost them the number 1 pick. So Anthony Richardson, his upside is outrageous. So I would start Davis Mills for half the year, be 0-9, and then just go to Anthony Richardson for the last 7 games and say, show me what you got. And if it's horrendous, then okay, you're probably picking number 1 again. Just go take Caleb Williams and trade Anthony Richardson for a 2nd-round pick and just move on. But he's just so freakish. It's going to be a long time before we see someone as freakish as Anthony Richardson again. So if I'm taking a quarterback, I just want that upside. I don't see it with the other 2 enough to take him number 2. So in order, if you said these are the 3 options for the Texans at number 2, for me it's Anthony Richardson, and then it's Will Anderson or Jalen Carter, and then that's it. I don't want anyone else.
So, but is this? And you kind of hinted at it there. Is this the right, like? All right, Anthony Richardson is a freak. That's fine. He's a freak athlete. Can he play quarterback at the NFL level? Like, I know you've got Bryce Young 1. You said that after that it's a significant drop off. You went Anthony Richardson, but why? Explain again why you went with Anthony Richardson.
Because if you're taking a quarterback in the top 5, just take one that has the potential to be the best in the league. Like, I have Anthony Richardson as not a top 20 player in the class, but quarterback is such an exception. And also, now that there's buzz that the Texans might not be taking a quarterback at all, fans are freaking out. People are losing their mind, saying, how could you not take CJ Stroud number 2 when Davis Mills is your quarterback? This is a disaster. What are you doing? I don't agree with their take. Like, I think it's totally fine to just take an edge rusher and move on. Will Anderson is guaranteed to be great. So if they take Will Anderson, I'll say good pick. If they take CJ Stroud, I'll say, I don't see it. You guys are going to be mediocre for a while. But Anthony Richardson, at least there's something to look forward to and say, if this clicks, if he can finally put this together, then we've got one of the best quarterbacks ever. He's only started like 25 football games.
Well, let me ask you this,
high school
though.
and college.
But let me ask you this. Like, do you, like you said, you've got, where do you have Will Anderson on what you would label as your overall big board?
Number 1.
So you get a chance to get Will Anderson. So then that leads me to the next thing. Yeah, you got Davis Mills, and if you deem Davis Mills just serviceable for a year, next year's quarterback class has Caleb Williams. It'll have Drake May. Who else am I leaving off out of next year's quarterback class?
Well, it sort of remains to be seen who's going to be that next one. But, like, obviously Quinn Ewers has the tools to get there. We'll see what happens. I don't know who's going to be next in that group, but there's a lot of guys that are physically ready to rock.
So I guess that's my point. You can get a number basically. Now I will say this, Patrick, and this is kind of interesting because I saw yesterday that your Commanders are not they're not extending Chase Young, not doing that.
Yeah.
I remember our big debate. I liked Cincinnati taking Chase Young over Joe Burrow, which would have been now apparently one of the dumbest decisions ever. So this is why I'm not. This is exactly why I'm not exactly an NFL draft guru, because I was all about taking Chase Young over Joe Burrow with those incredible receivers he had at LSU. But to me, it's kind of a similar situation. If you've got a quarterback you deem sufficient, and you can get Will Anderson to anchor the defense for years to come, and you line yourself up, you're probably, as you said, still going to be you're still going to be one of the 3 worst teams in the NFL next year. And you've got a chance at Caleb Williams or Drake May. You're right about Quinn Ewers. I'm sure somebody else will show up and catch all our attention. That's what I would do at number 2.
Well, there's a chance that if Anthony Richardson starts, that you can be picking number 1 again next year too, because he's such a flame out thing. So I don't disagree. Like, for them, it's one of those 2 guys basically. I would say Jalen Carter, but they're not going to do it because of all the off the field stuff going on with him right now. He's not going to be the number 2 pick. So it's Richardson or it's Will Anderson. If you want to gamble because you feel like we've got a first year coach and we can afford to, then sure, do it. But if you want to make the safe pick, take Will Anderson. That's totally fine. It's just there's no guarantee that you're going to get Caleb Williams. There's probably going to be a handful of teams that are looking ahead saying, we could be the worst team in the NFL and we could get Caleb Williams next year. Let's just try and do that. Like, I think Washington starting Sam Howell is making a conscious decision to say, either we have a 5th rounder who was completely undervalued and it's going to work out, or we're going to have one of the worst quarterbacks in the league and we're going to be competing for the number 1 pick next year.
803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in this morning. Let's get to a couple of these text messages here. Anonymous says, curious what Patrick thinks about Bijan Robinson. What do you have with Bijan?
Yeah, Bijan's spectacular. He's so good. He's the best running back since Saquon. But that being said, Jahmyr Gibbs is also incredible. So I think Bijan is being hurt by how good this running back class is overall. Bijan is special, absolutely no doubt. He's a home run, slam dunk, first rounder, and the Eagles might take him top 10. And if they take him at number 10, I wouldn't blame them. But he's so good. This running back class is the best in a while. It's really, really deep.
And then a couple people weighing in on Anthony Richardson. Let's get out to the left Chevy phone lines. Ty wants to weigh in and ask you a question. Ty, what's on your mind this morning? What you got for Patrick? No, I got the draft tonight. So yeah, I've got a.
I agree with that. I mean, what you said, if they're not in love with the guy, don't take the guy. I agree. I 100% agree with that. That's why some Texans fans are freaking out saying, what do you mean? They're going to take C.J. Stroud. How could they not take C.J. Stroud? Just because Mel Kiper or Daniel Jeremiah or whoever says that C.J. Stroud's the second best quarterback, the Texans just might not see it. I don't see it. If they don't see it, then don't take him. It doesn't matter. Like, you'll be fine. It's a first-year coach. DeMeco Ryans super young. He's defensive-minded. He's wants to build the football team in a smart way. He is not facing the pressure of, if I don't take a quarterback this year, I'm at risk of losing my job. So he is not going to be pressured. So if they take Will Anderson number 2, The other part of this is there's now growing sentiment that Anthony Richardson might be falling. So there's a world in which they can take Will Anderson number 2 and still get a quarterback with that second pick, even if it means they have to move up a couple spots to maybe jump the Titans. I'm sure the Eagles would be willing to trade back with them from 10. So if you want to just jump up 2 spots, you can probably get Will Anderson and a quarterback at this point, which would be pretty spectacular.
803-404-6100. We'll come back. We'll let Patrick break down some of the South Carolina Gamecocks. Darius Rush has moved ahead of Cam Smith, it seems. Zach Pickens. And I heard yesterday, Jay and Terry, or excuse me, it might have been Chris Clark and Terry talking about Nate Atkins and maybe how he fits into the NFL. So we'll let Patrick break down a little bit of that too, as well as we roll along. He's Patrick Perret giving us the complete NFL draft breakdown. I'm Bill Gunner. Captain David Ayer back in the studio. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game. That time of year where you're thinking about maybe a spring vacation, maybe you're thinking about a summer vacation, whatever it is that you're contemplating, you're going to have to get there probably via the car. And there's no better plan than visiting Love Chevrolet for that next vehicle. That's right. At Love Chevrolet, they've taken care of families right here in the Midlands for over 60 years, doing it the right way by offering you the lowest price guaranteed, by making sure that you get the largest selection of vehicles, and most importantly, because by giving you the best customer service possible. That's why recently Love Chevrolet was once again honored to be the latest recipient of Chevrolet's highest honor, the annual Mark of Excellence Award, scoring highest in sales, service, and customer experience. Go find out for yourself. I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park, or you can visit them on the web, lovechevy.com. Again, Love Chevrolet with 14 acres of brand new Chevys, whether maybe it's the Tahoe you're looking for, you got a Chevy Silverado, they're guaranteed to make sure you're going to find the car, truck, or SUV that you've been waiting for. So get out to Love Chevrolet, I-26 in Harbison, between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park, or you can visit them on the web, lovechevy.com. Get out to Love Chevrolet and find new roads. It's colder than when we started. Yeah.
I want to move up. What time is it?
It's 8:30.
If I ask them,
I talked to her. She said it was fine, but with just 26 minutes to go, it would be it because you never know. Sometimes when you move that thing, the signal drops a little bit.
You want to move? We can move it.
I told them they were asking about interviews, but I told them I was like, you didn't know that we were going to be out here till 9 a.m. or our station. I was like, nobody's told me. I was like, maybe y'all can do it on B106. But...
We're not broadcasting live. So no.
Oh, really?
No, we're just out here playing music.
I don't know.
Who came? Somebody ask you about it?
Well. They've got. Well, it's part of it's me getting older. Like my right foot, my toes, like lose feeling. Like I don't know what it is, but it's.
D'Amico Ryans, the Texans. I think there's a case to be made that they could double up on defense. If they pick at 12, yeah. I think they're going to pick the best 2 people available. So, I mean, honestly, I think they're going to take Will Anderson at 2. If they take Will Anderson at 2, when it comes around to 12, there will be corners available. There's going to be a ton of corners. There's probably 5 corners taken in the first round. So depending on if Vegas takes one, they can maybe get one of the top 2 or 3 guys. I think corner would make some sense for them. It'd be sweet to put Christian Gonzalez across from Derek Stingley. I would really like that. But also, they just have no talent on offense either. So I had them taking Jackson Smith and Jigba. You got to have somebody to throw the ball to. They're really, really bad right now. They could use anything.
These hot hands are not heating up quite the same.
They heat up slowly. They're going to be really hot when you're driving home.
I'm telling you, it's what is April 27th? It's odd that it's this chilly out here, but it's just so misty. I mean, it's literally that morning. It's not far off from that morning we were out at Charwood and they forgot to open the door.
Yeah. At least we knew it was freezing out and we had jackets that day.
Yeah. Ooh, that breeze is blowing. All right.
I had them taking Broderick Jones, but JSN was gone by then. So if you guys get JSN, I'd like it.
8:33 on your Thursday morning from what is definitely right now. I think it's gotten colder out here. A chilly Fort Jackson golf club to the extent that I have broke out the hot hands, and I've got 2 packs. One is in one of my shoes right now, trying to warm up my toes. The other one I'm trying to get some hands here nice and warm. Patrick, I was saying we did you and I, we got stuck out at Charwood one time because as much as we love rocking Daniel Lucas years ago, they forgot to let us in the building, and it was a November golf tournament, and we did the first 40 minutes from outside, and it was chilly. This one's not much further off than a November morning, which is crazy because again, it's April 27th, not November 11th or 12th or whatever it was that year.
That was a really, really cold morning. But yeah, it was expected. So I had a big jacket on. These mornings take you by surprise when you're like, it's not supposed to be this cold. It's almost May. It's May on Monday. It should not be cold anymore.
Yeah.
It's also South Carolina. We're in the South.
Yeah, that's why now my thoughts to move further south within the next 15 years are becoming more of a reality. Let's get a couple questions for you here on the Firehouse Subs text line. Coach Mack wants to just ask, has any college team ever had 2 players go 1 and 2 in the draft? Bama could have Young go 1 and Will Anderson go 2. Is there any that you're aware of that have pulled off that feat?
Not that I can remember. I'll Google it and see if I can get an answer on that, but not that I can remember. But I honestly think that's going to happen at this point, and it would be totally fair. That would certainly be a pretty interesting little experience. Let's look at the South Carolina side of things. Darius Rush is the guy that has shot up draft boards more so. At the end of the season, December? In December would be fair, I guess, after the season. We thought it would be Cam Smith picked at the top and then Darius Rush. It's not turned out that way, as it's now going to likely be Darius Rush, probably on day 2, probably tomorrow, sometime in the second round. Are you in agreement with that? Yeah, I will be stunned if Darius Rush, Cam Smith, and Zach Pickens are not all gone tomorrow night. And honestly, they could go in any order. If you told me whatever order, if it was Darius Rush, then Zach Pickens, then Cam Smith wouldn't shock me. I think the most expected right now is Cam Smith to be the first one taken, and then Rush or Pickens, but all three of them are solidly, firmly Friday guys at this point. They've all three of them done a good job in the pre-draft. Cam Smith's stock has probably fallen a little bit because he looked like he was going to be a first-round pick, and now I'd be really surprised if that happened. The other two have done everything right in this pre-draft process.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, do you have there was a good article on Saturday Down South about Cam Smith and his performance against Jalen Hyatt in particular at the Tennessee game, and then questioning why his stock has dropped as much as it has from a guy who was likely right around the number 20 pick overall to being a little bit further back. Do you have an explanation for this or what has happened to him?
Yeah, a lot of it is cornerback depth. So this is a really, 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 really good corner class. So I mean, Cam Smith could be anywhere from the 5th corner to the 12th corner taken, and it would feel like a lot, but it wouldn't be that much because there's a really big cluster of good corners in this class. Also, there are some issues about his aggressiveness and making bad decisions. He gets caught looking sometimes. He gets a lot of penalties is a big thing. And then there's other people saying that he's best when he can just watch the quarterback and make instinctive plays. So there is a thought among some people that he's better as a safety than he is a corner and could have a position change. So no matter what, he's a solid 2nd round pick, but there's too much competition, and it's not evident where he's exactly going to fit on the field itself. Is he an outside corner? Is he a slot guy? Is he maybe better as a safety? There's a lot of uncertainty around him.
If you look toward the end of the draft and you get into the 6th and 7th round of those picks, do you have a game like Nate Atkins was one that was brought up yesterday? I know Chris Clark, I think Wes Mitchell and Terry Ford kind of talked about it because he's a guy that I think the way they phrased it is in about 5 or 6 years, you're watching a random NFL game on Sunday around 2:00 and all of a sudden a short pass is thrown, 5-yard pass, and reception by Nate Atkins, been in the NFL for 5 or 6 years, it's turned into a nice little career. Do you have Nate Atkins as a guy that maybe gets drafted? Do you have another guy off of this team that maybe slides in that we didn't expect here later on in the draft, of Javon Gwynn and Eric Douglas, Dylan Wanham?
It's possible that Nate Atkins could be that guy. But again, in 5 years, I don't think it's going to be, oh, look, there's Nate Atkins making a catch. I think it's going to be in 5 years, you see a punt returner getting just leveled right in front of the sideline, and you're going to say, oh, wow, Nate Atkins, just a special team ace for the New England Patriots for the last 5 years. And you'll be like, well, that makes a lot of sense. Because he is. I mean, he's tough. He made some plays this year. He blocks really well and plays hard, and he's a coach's son, which NFL guys will definitely like. There's definitely a scout somewhere that will be beating the table saying Nate Atkins has everything that we're looking for in a football player. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know where he's going to fit in, but you draft Nate Atkins and he's going to make this football team better. That speech will happen in a war room somewhere on Saturday afternoon. So no, Nate Atkins wouldn't surprise me at all. I think Josh Vann will end up getting drafted. I don't know what his ceiling is, but I feel like he does enough, and he's been really impressive the last 2 years. So I think someone will definitely take a chance on him. Receivers, there's just so many receivers that are going to get taken. So I'd be surprised if he didn't see his name called late. The offensive linemen, any one of them could get drafted, and I mean, you'll see maybe you'll see them playing in a couple years and say, wow, that's shocking that they've made such a long NFL career. Like Taylor Stallworth having a 7 or 8 year career. You're just like, really? Was he a standout at South Carolina? I didn't think so, but here he is, just trucking along. I think Dennis Daly's still starting in the NFL, and he's been consistently labeled as one of the worst tackles in the league, but he's still starting and making starter money. So there's opportunities for that.
803-404-6100. Looking ahead real quick to next year, the big question we talked about, potential guys like Caleb Williams, guys like Drake May, maybe another guy explodes onto the scene, and Michael Penix Jr. Maybe where do you have Spencer Rattler right now in a way too early mock 2024 draft?
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid right now. I think he's going to have a monster year. I think we're going to be coming in next year saying, well, what Caleb Williams and Drake May are still 1-2. Those guys are studs. They're can't missers. And there's going to be other people like JJ McCarthy is super talented, and people want to buy into him. But I think we'll be talking about Spencer Rattler, and people will be saying you can take a shot on him in the first round. Like I think he's going to blow it up this year. I'm fully buying into everything that's happening right now. I'm ready for Spencer Rattler and Juice to both be first round picks.
Oh, all right. Well, there you go. That's
I mean, Juice Wells is the best. Juice Wells is the best returning receiver in the SEC right now.
There you go. I don't disagree with that. All right, we'll come back. We'll get some of Patrick's sleepers for this coming draft as well. You're listening to Patrick Perret, Bill Gunner, Captain David Ayer back in studio. It's the early game. 107.5 the game. Yes, sir. I got it. I'm ready. Today might not be the day that you're going home to jump in your backyard pool. I mean, Thursdays are typically a really good day, but today might not be the day. But you know what? Those days are coming around quickly. And pools, they're a luxury that will significantly improve the quality of your life of every homeowner. Because you go home, you can hop in that pool, you can float around, you can fix your beverage. Maybe you got a great setup outside, you got a TV going, and you need a professional to keep that pool maintained. I promise you that. At Corley Pool Solutions, they believe in providing the absolute highest quality swimming pool service at the most affordable price to you and your family. Call them today, 803-445-8109. If you have someone who's frequently scheduled to come out and visit your home, you want a skilled professional. And that is precisely what Tracy Corley is. With over 20 years of experience in the business, Tracy Corley and Corley Pool Solutions will make sure your pool and your pool equipment stays in the absolute best condition. And the most important part, they'll make sure that pool water remains clean. If you want a clean and healthy pool, you need to contact Corley Pool Solutions today. 803-445-8109. Corley Pool Solutions will inspect your pool equipment weekly. They'll make sure it's operating properly. They'll test, treat, and they will maintain your pool, including the chemicals, for a flat rate cost. So save time, save money today by contacting the professionals at Corley Pool Solutions. 803-445-8109. Again, that's 803-445-8109. Contact Corley Pool Solutions today. Get that maintenance lined up and enjoy your pool this summer. I'll be right back.
Georgia did it last year with 2 first-round picks, but not number 1 and number 2 overall. Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt. That's definitely happened. That probably happens pretty often. LSU did it, definitely. Jamar Chase and was it the same year? Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase and K'Lavon Chaisson was in that first round. Joe Burrow and Justin Jefferson, K'Lavon Chaisson. They probably had 3 that year. Missing. What else am I missing? Alabama's done it a bunch of times. Has South Carolina ever done it? I don't think so. Honestly, a couple schools will do it this year. Ohio State will do it. Alabama will do it. Georgia will do it. Broderick Jones and Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter will all be first rounders, so they'll have 3. Ohio State will have 3: C.J. Stroud, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and Paris Johnson. Alabama will have 3: Bryce Young. Maybe actually Bama might have 4: Bryce Young, Jahmyr Gibbs, Will Anderson, and Brian Branch. So that's 3 schools. 10 of the top of the first round will be from 3 schools, guaranteed. Who else am I missing that's going to have multiples? Clemson will be 2. Florida will maybe have 2.
Ooh. Not good. Not good. 5 wrecks. Of course, not particularly good weather. $8:48 on a Thursday morning as we wrap it up here from Fort Jackson Golf Club. The Columbia Chamber of Commerce golf tournament later today. Hopefully it's a lot warmer for these golfers that will be coming out here. But right now, focusing a lot on the NFL draft tonight taking place. This should be a really good time. Patrick, I mean, in terms of suspense and just kind of overall intrigue of the draft, where does this one rank up on the last 10 or 12 drafts for you?
Definitely better than last year because quarterbacks are involved. But other than that, maybe it's one of the weaker classes. Like, it's suspenseful because we don't know what's going to happen, and we don't know what's going to happen because there aren't that many great options. Like, for me, there are 4 blue chip players in this class, 5 maybe, and it's Anderson, Carter, Bryce Young, Bijan Robinson, Peter Skoronski, the offensive lineman from Northwestern. Everyone else I could take or leave. So there's a really deep corner group, a really deep running back group, but across the board, it's a very average class. So that adds intrigue just because you don't know what's going to happen. Because guys will be taken in the first round that 2 years ago would be third rounders. It's just going to work out that way. It's not that great of a class.
So let's go then to your sleepers, not just at one position, but across the board. People that, we'll say outside of the first 64 picks, outside of the top 2 rounds, where are you going with a couple with 3 or 4 people that you've marked down, that you've noticed, that you say, all right, this guy's going to bring some late round value, and we're talking about maybe in 4 or 5 years?
Okay, well, so running back, there's a handful of them that I love that are going to go late. I love Deuce Vaughn. I hope Deuce Vaughn lands in a place where he can be successful. This draft has a lot of outliers size-wise, and Deuce Vaughn is going to be the smallest running back ever drafted. He's 5'5", $179. He's just so small, but he's so dynamic, and I love him. I love watching him play so much. So I hope he can be a change of pace back somewhere good. Wide receiver, I mean, I feel like they're all sleepers at this point, but there's a guy from Princeton, Andre Yoshivas, who is a track guy and just completely dominated the Ivy League his entire career. He's a stud. I think he could be really dangerous if he ends up somewhere where they can get the ball in his hands with space. Like, I would love him in San Francisco. I'd love him in Kansas City. I like Andre Yoshivas. Rakeem Jarrett, too, I watched a lot at Maryland. He's really good, but just didn't have the benefit of elite quarterback play. He was a former 5-star committed to LSU and was great for Maryland, so I really like Rakeem Jarrett. Corner, they're going to go really deep with corners. Like, starting corners are going to be taken until Saturday and through Saturday. So Trey Hodges-Tomlinson from TCU is awesome. He's also undersized. He's only 5'8" and like $175, but so aggressive. And if he plays in the slot, I think he's going to be great in the slot. So those are a couple of the guys that I really love. Tight end, Brenton Strange from Penn State is a really great athlete. Will Mallory from Miami is also a really good athlete. So the tight end class is excellent this year too. There's going to be 7 or 8 tight ends taken tonight and tomorrow, which is really rare.
What, real quick, you mentioned really rare. What is your expectation? Let's change it just for a second. What is your expectation for Nicholas Harbor at South Carolina his freshman year?
I like to make like 3 or 4 like jaw-dropping plays. We're like, oh, that's what he is. Like maybe we'll be able to put him in the seam, get him down the seam or something a couple times where he's just open 15 yards downfield and Rattler can find him. I just don't know. I don't know what it's gonna take to like make him an every down guy. I feel like it's a long road to be an every down guy, and it seems like his first year it's going to be obvious what the plan is every time he's on the field. If it's on offense, it's going to be like, all right, we'll just go deep because he's just so fast, and someone's going to have to be sitting over top. I'm not expecting. Maybe I'm just trying to be pessimistic and hoping that I'm wrong because there's so much buzz around him. I just want to dial back the expectations. But yeah, I expect to see like a couple dazzling plays and then just not much of him elsewhere.
Let's transition just for a second here, and then we'll finish up with the draft. Have you had a chance to watch the spring game? Did you have any takeaways from that?
Not ultimately. I saw highlights. I was out and about that day. I think running back needs to be addressed. That's like the biggest thing. I'm worried about the offensive line and the running game. So as much as I want to buy into Spencer Rattler and lighting it up, and I think him and Juice are going to have an incredible connection, I am worried about that group with all those new starters holding up. As exciting as it is to look ahead and say, well, we've got 4 6'7" offensive linemen committed. We need someone to step up in this group. We need a couple people to step in this group. And running back, I'm not like super worried about it, but there's not a standout back in that room right now.
No, there's not. All right, let's wrap up with some draft questions here. Ferrari. These are some of the I will say prop bets here for the draft. Will a kicker or punter get drafted over the next 3 days?
Yeah, they always do, don't they? Someone will take a kicker. I don't know who it'll be. I haven't watched them. Someone will take a kicker.
You didn't expand honestly, the Patrick Big Board out to kickers?
No, but this draft is so bad that people are by the end of Saturday they're gonna be like, whatever, just take a kicker. Whatever, it's fine. Teams usually have like 150 players on their board, and this year it might be 115, 120.
Do the Panthers use? Is it still 15 minutes tonight? Is it still 15 minutes on the first pick, or is it 12? I forget.
I think so. They'll use every second.
Every second.
Yeah, right. And it's in the first round they always do because 1, the Panthers want people to just talk about the Panthers for 15 minutes, and then 2, apparently the league tells them to wait. Like you can be ready, but the league makes them wait because they need to fill out their entire allotted time and they need to get all their commercials in, so they make them wait.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So you can expect that. You can expect that tonight. The one player tonight that slides into the first round that maybe is not on your mock, but you're watching that slides into the first round that nobody's expecting. Because doesn't that happen every year? One guy gets in. Like, yeah, give me the one guy that's in the second round right now. Like a Darius Rush. Nobody's expecting a Darius Rush to slide into the first round. Give me the one guy that somebody's enamored with at the end of the first round or from pick 16 on, where everybody goes, oh, okay, didn't see that one coming.
Guy. I mean, I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be a first rounder, and people aren't really expecting to see him there, but he's just special. There will be 3 wide receivers taken in the first round. Nothing shocking is going to come out of there. All right, it's going to be John Michael Schmitz, the center from Minnesota, is going to be the one that that comes out of nowhere. It's going to be a center, and people are going to be like, "What? You're drafting a center in the first round?" It'll be the Patriots or something like that. That'll do that. It'll be John Michael Schmitz.
John Michael Schmidt.
He's a good center, but center is the least valuable position on the offensive line, and that's going to happen.
Well, there you go. There's your draft breakdown. We'll get Patrick back next week to maybe even grade it, talk with Preston as well, get some Preston questions in there for Patrick. Buddy, always enjoy you being a part of the program. Glad you still come on and everything, and hope you have a great weekend. Don't overdo it. Don't OD on night one of the draft.
Yeah, thankfully I have a wedding to go to that'll distract me for a couple hours.
Oh, that poor wedding. The bride and groom will never see you. Take care. Take care. We'll be back tomorrow. Preston will be back. Liv Thompson, Tony Annan. We'll see you tomorrow. Stay just warm enough. I'm shutting it down and getting in the car, buddy. I appreciate everything. Later. Bye. All right, everybody. Yep. No, probably not tonight because I'm gonna probably hit up JC's deal, and my son's got soccer. And Patrick, what time does the draft actually start? Is it 7 or 8? I can't remember.
8. Yeah.
What is it?
It's gonna be 8 o'clock.
8. Okay. Yep. I couldn't remember. But anyway, but yeah, Anthony, I'll probably be at next. Plus, with me going to the beach tomorrow for this soccer tournament, I got to do some stuff tonight. So it's a.
You having Tony on tomorrow?
Huh?
You having Tony Annan on tomorrow?
Yeah. He had surgery last week, so he's been out. But he got Preston to take Tottenham. Or Tottenham was his, and so of course Tony's a Newcastle guy.
Yeah,
so
I was going to say they absolutely whooped him.
Yeah, it was a beating. So that'll be part of tomorrow's program.
Did you watch the Arsenal Man City game yesterday?
That was a beating too. Man City just stuck it to Arsenal's falling apart. They should have lost.
Choked it away. They
should have lost what, Saturday morning?
Yeah, they should have. They came back on 2 goals in the last 10 minutes.
So yeah, but I'll get you if you're coming back through town or somewhere, we'll get you back on with Tony and cut up.
Yeah, I'm in for that.
All right, buddy. I'm getting out of here. It's cold out here.
Yep. Get home. All right, everybody. Enjoy the draft.
Later.
Yeah.